Yellow. Hey. Hey. Let's send some likes. Let's get moving. Jesus Christ, that debate was horrid. I'm going. I'm home. I'll probably be going live a lot more, TBH. How are we? 59 people. Great. I mean, honestly, let's talk about it, Queen. Let's get going. Send likes, share, everything. Let's get this out to people. I want to talk to someone. I just want one conversation with someone, please. Please. Oh, actually, fuck off. He just lied. Like, he just lied. Lied. They talk about it. No. Do you know who I'm voting for? No. Oh, okay. We've got 140 people on here. 140 people can like things quite well. So let's get moving. Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Why'd you send a... No. I've been out. I've been busy. I've been working on other things for other people.
Yo, hello.
What did you meant to say? Hello. What did you send a guest request to Discord
Sorry, I just woke up. The prompt that you made.
on? Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you watch the debate last night?
Yeah. So what I saw in that debate was Biden get cooked. That's what I saw. It wasn't a debate. It was
Did you
it was
see
a
Trump
slaughter.
consistently lie? Yeah, where Trump just
Nah.
made shit up.
Trump never lies. Why would Trump lie? Trump never lies. What are you talking about?
So Trump said that Biden wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. That's incorrect. Trump said that Nancy Pelosi denied help on January 6th. That's a flagrant lie. Trump said that
That's
there's a
what.
relatively small number of people on the Capitol. That's a flagrant lie.
That's
I mean,
reflected by his
most of what he
policies.
said was just categorically, unequivocally false.
No. That's not true. Because it's basically we have these things called manifesto prints. And when you look at the leaked documents, you can see that Biden wanted to pass certain policies that would actually reflect that.
Not a single policy increased the middle class's taxes by 4 times.
Yo, we're not talking about the present. We're talking about like the sort of plans for the future, right?
No, not a
Do you
single
know?
proposition or proposal or any suggestion in the Democratic Manifesto now or ever would increase the middle class's taxes
That's what
by
I'm
four
saying.
times.
It's a leaked
Yeah,
document.
so
It's
when
not
he
in
says
that.
Trump wants to increase your taxes by 4 times, what does he mean?
You mean when Trump says that?
Yeah, when Trump says that Biden wants to increase the taxes by 4 times, what does he mean?
No, you're not. You didn't hear what I said. I said it's not in Biden's public manifesto, right? But if you look at certain leaked
Oh,
documents, you can see that he
it's
plans
in a
to
leaked
pass
document.
policies
Which leaked
that would
document?
reflect that. I can
Which
send you. I
leaked
mean, do you use
document?
Telegram? Do you use Telegram?
I mean, is it public knowledge?
No.
So if it's not public knowledge, why did Trump say it?
Oh, because he probably has access to those. Like, you can still say
So he's either
something.
lying or releasing confidential information.
Well, he's not.
So you're
Well, if
agreeing
that
that it's
con
impossible to verify because he's commenting on non-public information. So he's
no,
either
no,
making shit up or referencing a document that no one has access to.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't say he's like
Okay,
100%
if
lying.
he's
I wouldn't say
referencing shit that no one has access to,
it,
then it's completely unverifiable. I'm not going to take his word. You don't take politicians' word, right?
I mean, you can sort of look at you can look at how the information was acquired and then see if there's something substantial there to sort
He
of.
never referenced how the information was acquired.
Oh no, I looked into it. I looked into like where the breach was made, like how they managed to get the documents.
Trump, wait, so you're claiming that Trump is referencing a secret document that we don't have public access to, but you
I
have
mean,
access to it?
we do have public access. You just have to know where to look, I
Oh,
guess.
so it is public knowledge
Well, how do you define public knowledge? Because something could be public but
in
not
that it's
widely
accessible to
accessible.
the public.
I mean,
So how is it accessible?
well, if it's shared within like a sort of like a niche community, I wouldn't call that
It's not
public.
niche if it's if it was stated in a nationwide debate.
Yeah, no, 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 because like he can make references that.
So you're accepting that it's not verifiable by the majority of people.
Yeah, no, no, I never disagreed with that. I'm just saying from my personal perspective, that's
Okay, then
why
he shouldn't say it in a
I think
nationwide debate.
no, no, okay, okay, no, I sort of
It's
agree
either
with
a
that, but that,
lie or
I'm saying
completely
that,
unverifiable by majority of people.
yeah, it can be unverifiable by the majority of people, but like that doesn't
Yeah, if it's
really.
unverifiable by the majority of people, it's a totally useless claim.
How no? How wait?
Let's
Hold
go
on,
on to
no.
another claim that he made. He said that Trump said that the problem is that they're radical because they want life. They can take the life of a child in the eighth month, the ninth month, and even after birth. After birth. What was he referencing with saying that infanticide was legalized?
Hold on, can you repeat that question? I was doing something. Also, from the, like the previous
Trump said
point, I
that
still
they could that pro choice people suggested to take the life after birth. He said that the Democrats' official position
yeah.
was to take the life of the child in the eighth month, ninth month, and even after birth. When? When did this happen?
Yeah. So I'm not gonna I don't know what he was yapping about there, but maybe it was like a
Yeah, that's a
mistake from his
flagrant
side.
lie. No, it wasn't. He said it multiple times. It was a
Yeah, that's
flagrant lie on his part. It was a
it's a
clear,
tactical
obvious
lie.
lie on his part.
It's a tactical lie.
What?
It's a tactical lie
Okay, so Trump's a liar as well, yeah? Like he's
as
consistently lying.
well. I
You're
mean,
saying, wait, sorry. So you went from it
consistently.
being, sorry, wait, so you went from it being a mistake to being a tactical lie. So either he messed up or he did it on purpose and it was
Well,
smart?
well, they're not mutually exclusive. So
It's either a
you,
mistake or you do it on purpose. No, they are mutually exclusive.
they're not. No, no, they're not. You can make a tactical mistake, right? So you can, it
Yeah, but
depends on
in the
how.
sense that it was a tactical lie, you would intend it to be a lie. So explain to me what happened here.
So what I think, no, no. So I never made the claim that Trump never lies. I made the, I made the claim that he doesn't consistently lie. So you can have certain things that he does.
He
There's
said
like a
this like
threshold.
about 3 times. That's pretty
Okay, what do you,
consistently. He's actually said it
what do you,
multiple times.
okay, what do you define as consistent? Like, what's the threshold of like?
Doing it consistently. He does it across contexts. He does it across one given context and across multiple contexts. It's a habit of how he speaks.
Nah, I wouldn't agree with that. Nah.
It is okay. So I mean, we can keep going down. Um, Trump claimed that a Wall Street Journal reporter was detained in Russia, and that he would get him out prior to the election, and that Putin is asking for billions, um, and that Biden paid billions every time for a hostage. That's not true.
Mm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look
Explain
at
that one to
like.
me.
I'm gonna have to look at
Biden
like
did in
where.
fact free hostages without paying anything.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not sure about like with it specifically. Like, I'll need to look at the context and like sort of see like what context the claim was made in, and like look at what Biden did
Okay,
and
Trump
everything that
claimed
relates
that
to that.
him saying that the military were suckers and losers was misinformation when Jeremy Powell, his own employee, said that he said it along with 19 other military staff. Do you have
Oh,
an issue with Trump's calling the military suckers and losers?
I mean, are we just gonna take his word for it? Like, what's like
You
that's not
take one of the highest
falsifiable.
ranking official military officers that was hired by Trump's word for it, as well as 19 other military officers that were there. Yeah.
Oh, they all wait. Sorry. Maybe I misunderstood you. You're saying all of them, like recounted the same thing about Trump, like the 19
Yeah,
military
they all
officers.
tested. They all repeated to the media that this happened. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like that one person. Nah, bro, Trump on top, bro.
So we're taking 19 people's word, right? Who are some of the or some of them are the highest ranking military officials in America, and they were hired by Trump.
Okay, so why
Do you
would
have an
they
issue
like?
with him calling the military suckers and losers?
Well, why would they like even give out that information if you hire them like in the
Why?
first
I'm
place? Like
sorry.
why?
So why did they give
What
it?
do you?
Because it's an extraordinarily offensive thing to say to them.
Yeah, like do you not think? Okay, so hold
So do
on.
you have an issue with him saying it?
Yeah, I have an issue with him saying it, but like I don't know if he actually said that or some sort of like systematized sort of attack on Trump from these people for some like unknown like with some unknown like motive or incentive. Yeah,
So you're just making like you're saying it's
bro.
a conspiracy against Trump. Anything
There's
bad
like
that anyone says about Trump is a conspiracy against
there's
Trump.
like it's the Illuminati, bro.
But
There's
anything
like there's
good
a
that
secret
Trump says that
coalition.
benefits him, well, it could be in a document that maybe is released to some portions of the public.
No. That's I wouldn't say that's like analogous at all, because with Trump, well, in that
Okay,
like in
what
that
about when
specific,
Trump claimed that he brought the National Guard to Minneapolis?
or
That wasn't true.
I'm
He
sorry,
said
I'm
if
not
I
sure
hadn't brought the National Guard to
because
Minneapolis, the city would have been destroyed. That was a lie. He didn't bring the National Guard to Minneapolis.
yeah, bro. I'm gonna stop wasting your time. I'm not even from the
What about that? What
U.S.
about
I'm
that lie?
actually sorry, bro. Bro, I'm probably voting for Biden. I'm
Why do
just
you
trolling.
support Trump?
I don't. I'm not even from the U.S.
Yellow. We're just gonna guess or disagree on. Yeah.
Believe that either candidate was fully truthful. I think that Biden lied and Trump lied, but I think it's undeniable
No, of
that
course not. I
Biden
hate Trump and
got
I hate Biden.
whomped. Right. So I guess my point would just be that
Yeah, I
Biden
think
pretty
Trump just
clearly
lied a
lost.
shit ton more and much more consistently and actively, right? Pretty much everything that Biden said is true in some way, right? Some way, shape, or form with context. Um,
Yeah,
Things
but
that
it's
Trump
all
said
kind of
were like
moot when what
flagrantly,
he's saying is
obviously false. There's a
incoherent.
different scale here. Biden's doing typical politician shit. Trump is going up there and making shit up.
Right, but not being able to finish a sentence, that's not really typical. I mean, it's a sad state of affairs, but it's a
No. Yeah,
situation where,
Biden's like a geriatric old man, but I will take useless to malicious any day.
yeah, I guess my point is just to say that Trump got the dub for better or for worse, but I just feel like that's kind of the
I
undeniable
don't think
takeaway.
flagrantly lying and like blaming immigrants on everything is a dub. I think it's like fascistic.
Well, we're talking about what it takes to win this thing, and it's just a situation where,
Yeah, and
you
being a
know,
fascist can win you it pretty well. I don't think it's a good thing to do. But when you make everything about migrants and others, right, that is a classic populist and leaning on fascistic way to argue. He can win. Populism wins. Fascism wins. It's just
mhm.
flagrantly evil.
Sure. I mean, I also think that if you're going to hyperbolize everything, go, he's a fascist, he's going to be the end of the world, it also turns
No. It's
people
not
away
hyperbole. We
from.
can go down. We can go down the direct description of fascism that I'm using. Right. I do think the way he argued that, right, when immigration actually has been dealt with stronger and more militantly under the Biden administration than the Trump administration. Right, there hasn't been a huge change in immigration policy. Most of the immigration policy was carried over through the Trump administration. So blaming everything on migrants when it's totally unrelated. He blamed abortion on migrants. He blamed schools on migrants. He blamed like almost every issue you could conceive of on migrants.
Well, immigration is
That's
definitely
that's
a
the
major
classic trope of
point,
fascism
not
because
only in
it's
the
not.
American
That is
elections
that is
right
a
now,
scapegoat. That is a
but when you
classic
look at
scapegoat.
France, I'm sorry, let me just speak for a second. I'm saying if you look at
You want
immigration
to look at the Le Pen?
in
Sorry, you want to look
American
at France?
politics, I'm just saying internationally, it's become a major concern.
Yeah, wait, sorry. Le Pen is a fascist.
I mean, I have no issue calling her that. I mean, her father
Farage
certainly
is a
was.
fascist.
Her father definitely
I
was.
mean,
But
Le
I'm just
Pen
saying
is
that, these
legitimately a
feelings,
French fascist.
the idea that you can just have
Do you want
unmitigated
wait? Do you want to say? Do
immigration
you want to push
into.
your name behind the Italian PM as well?
I'm not putting my name behind any of them. My point is that it's
But
unproductive
they're
to
fascists. Like
just say
there is a
that.
rise of fascism in European politics as well. Let's talk about it. Germany has a
Do you think
huge
there's
rise of fascism
fascism
right
in
now.
leftist
AFD.
politics now? Do you think the encampments on Colombia
It's
is
fascism and
indicative
leftism
of?
are contradictory. If there is fascism in leftist politics, it's either not fascist or not leftist.
Yeah. Uh-huh. To me, it's this really sort
Fascism is a
of.
right wing ideology.
Hmm. It's also dull, my man. I mean,
There are
really, this
certainly people
sort
that
of
call
like
themselves leftists that are in fact fascists, but they're
bull.
wrong.
I'm just saying this bullheaded attitude towards everything is unproductive, and as
It's not
a
bullheaded. It's
classic liberal
accurate.
myself,
I'm not saying this from a place of
you know.
emotion. I'm saying this from a place of like legitimate political analysis.
Hmm. Look, it's ultimately just
If
unproductive.
you
I
have a
mean,
problem
the
with your
fact
thing
is,
being called, make it look less like fascism.
yeah, and the voices of, if you don't mind me asking, you're 20, 20 something, the voices
Irrelevant.
of 20 somethings who talk fast on
Entirely
TikTok,
irrelevant. And you
who
also don't
call
have your face on.
everything,
I don't know why we would like.
who,
What is my age relevant?
because
Do
I'm
we
just
want to
saying
talk about
this
what
really
fascism
sort.
is?
Sure.
Yeah, so fascism is a
You want
right-wing
me to say what
populist
fascism?
ideology,
You want me to?
right? That is
Yeah.
constituted primarily by a disdain for human rights, a search for a
Hmm.
scapegoat of others, right? And then a strong integration of the private and public sector, controlled by the
Uh-huh.
private sector. Those are three
Well, here's a
primary
question.
characteristics of Mussolini-like fascism. Trump
Uh-huh.
lives by those, breathes by those, and pushes those. He is the strongest
Well, here's a
example of those.
question.
Desecration
Here's a
of the
question.
desecration and insulting of the institutions and rule of law, right? He's
Hmm.
called the entire justice system corrupt, right? He has called like he's anti-academic, he's anti-institutional, right? He's anti-institutions of higher learning. He tells people not to go to college, right? He's attacked Congress as an institution. He's attacked the presidency and executive branches as an institution. There's barely a single executive organization that he hasn't attacked. So I mean, we can go down the list of actual genuine characteristics of fascism. You don't have to hyperbolize, right?
Okay, but
Reality almost
here's a
looks like
question.
hyperbole. So I
Here's a
want you.
question.
Can I ask you a
Sure.
question?
Okay.
When you hear fascism, I don't want you to just hear me saying this is a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. I could use a lot of words to be like he's a shitty, horrible guy. What I
Uh-huh.
mean when I say fascism is that he is a fascist in the strictest sense of the word. The policies
Okay.
and ways
I
he
hear
goes
you.
about
I
fulfilling
hear
those
you.
policies
I hear you.
are
What I'm saying
fascistic.
is that, is there a middle American voter? Can this person have a concern about immigration into America and not be a fascist?
Yeah,
I mean, we need to be able to validate this concern that is valid. I'm not saying that we
yeah,
should
but
have a
Trump's concern
nightmare
is different from the middle
situation,
American concern.
but I'm just saying this idea
And
that
also,
this,
Trump is using it as a political tool. Because to talk to Biden about immigration is
but
stupid. Biden was
to
harsher on
what
immigration than
degree is
Trump
it
was.
valid? To what
But
degree
Trump
as a
is
voter
not the
can you be
anti immigration
concerned?
candidate.
Between him
For
and Joe
any
Biden, you
amount,
think
Trump is
he's
using it
lighter
as
on
a
immigration?
once again, this isn't about the actual concern. That's not the accusation. We're not saying immigration is. I personally believe immigration is not a concern. I personally think it's not.
Period. In
I think
America.
it's an incorrect belief. I think immigration is net positive for this country.
Well, are we talking about legal or
But
illegal?
people can have a concern about immigration. I think there should be. I think all immigration should be legal.
Okay, so
Um,
your basically attitude is
but
zero border control.
I believe in a border. I
Uh-huh.
believe in border control. I believe that
So
all
what are you
immigration
saying
should be
then? So
legal.
you're saying that as long as you can get in, you're good. Either you get in legally or you're able to
That was the
get
rule
past
for
the
about
system.
150 years in our country.
Okay, what we're talking about today.
Well,
Your
the
position is that
system should allow anyone in, yes. But one second, one second. I want to
your position
focus
is
on
that
the
anyone who
actual
wants to
question
come
and
to
context
America
you talked
can.
about. Yeah, that was a
Sorry,
rule
I'm
for
just trying to
most of
understand
American
your
history.
position. Anyone who wants to come to
You've
America
asked
can.
the same question 3 times. I've answered you.
Okay, I think that's a pretty wild position to have. I mean,
I mean, it was the
the,
position for about 150 years of American history, but
what
that's
period are
neither
you
here nor there.
referring
That's not the
to
point. You
when you say
understand my
150
position.
years?
Well,
What
from the
period are you referring
founding
to?
right up
Uh-huh.
until the Chinese Immigration Act, which so the Chinese Exclusion Act, um, which was in 1880.
Gotcha. So I personally, I mean, 1880, we're talking about a pretty far while back. I think that now the idea that,
Yeah, but I mean,
you
about
know,
it was most of American
zero
history.
immigration control, that's a wild position. I mean, that's out there. That's
Okay, you can
political
keep saying it's wild.
extremism.
Can I answer your question first?
Sure.
You can keep saying it's wild. Can I answer your question
Okay.
first, though?
Go ahead.
So you asked me if you can have concern about immigration and not be a fascist. Yes, fascism is characterized by a series of characteristics, right? And you can get closer and further away from fascism.
Hmm.
Being concerned merely about immigration doesn't really even scratch the surface. What I'm accusing Trump of is using immigration as a scapegoating issue and demonizing them in a way that is divorced from reality. Right? He's not actually more anti-immigration than Biden is. Right? If we actually look at both of their policies, I would argue Biden has been harsher on immigration than Trump has. So there's him attacking Biden on immigration is stupid. Um, so the only reason he would attack it on immigration, not because of reality, but because of politics. He's using it as a political tool. So he's using immigrants as a scapegoat, a political tool to change society. So he's suggesting that there's this social contagion of immigrants. They're affecting schools, they're affecting abortion, they're affecting like voting for Democrats, basically everything.
Hmm.
So when you use it as a scapegoat, that means scapegoating looks like blaming every single issue on them. It's a panacea politically. That's what it is. So I think his specific concern, is completely
Hmm.
divorced from reality because it's juxtaposed with Biden, and Biden is about the same on immigration, if not a little worse.
Well,
And he's
first
using
off,
it
they're
as a
not the
panacea.
same. Trump
That's
is certainly
dangerous.
harder on immigration.
He's
Trump is
not.
certainly harder. I mean,
He's
moreover,
not.
just in the fact
He
that
Biden built more of the wall.
the point about presidential power, it's both office with executive power as well as the ability to veto. The Republican Party is enriched by a Republican president in terms of getting their aims, and certainly the Republican
Barely.
Party is more
What?
anti-immigration than the
Sorry. Biden
Democrat.
built more of the wall than Trump did. Sorry.
But
What? Biden built more of the wall than Trump did. What did Trump do that Biden didn't do for immigration?
well, Trump had the family split up policy, which I don't personally agree with. I'm just pointing out the fact that he is harsher on
Yeah, but it
immigration.
didn't reduce immigration.
He
It was
also
just
has a pol
inhumane.
he also has a policy about more deportation of people who are currently in the country versus Biden.
Have you seen
And then
Biden's new executive action?
the fact Biden's
Biden
thing
went
on
further than he did on the asylum seeking. He cut off all asylum seekers. Even Trump didn't
right,
do that.
right, but what does it have to say about folks who are already in the country? I'm
Sorry.
just saying it's a
He
situation
has
that I think
actively funded ICE just as much. What did Biden do? What did Trump do to crack down on it? Because to my view, deportations have continued to increase under the Biden administration.
mhm. I'm just saying that if you the idea that
So you know what a
the
deportation is.
anti-immigration voter, the idea that the anti-immigration voter would find more in common with
The anti-immigration voter
blue
has
than
two good
red.
candidates.
Hmm. Look, anyways,
They have
the
two
main question
fantastic candidates.
the main point I was starting with was that in my mind, I just think it's fanciful to say that Biden won last night, and I don't even think that you're disagreeing with that.
I don't I don't care. I think the fascist always loses.
The
The thing
fascist always
is when
loses.
you put someone up there, yeah. If you go up there and you use fascistic techniques, you go scapegoat an ethnic minority, right? You actively attack the rule of law. You
What ethnic
undermine
minority?
elections, and you consistently lie about reality. You lose.
Wait, which ethnic
Biden
minority?
could have sat there, been silent. Biden could have sat there and had a physical stroke, and he still would have won by comparison. because
Yeah, I mean, you've
Trump
just
just
lost the
sat up there
plot
and
so
was a straight
hard
up fascist.
when you view the world that way. I mean, I'm just saying, like these extreme circles that are really populated
But if this is
on
the view
social
you see winning
media,
as,
it
if you
doesn't
see it as
hold
like a
water.
punching contest of rhetoric, if you view it, if you think it's a punching contest of who can be rhetorically strongest enough, right?
Well, there's pragmatism.
Then I don't know what you're
I
on about.
think that when
Yeah, Biden
Biden
looked like
told
an
Trump to
idiot up
shut
there.
up
Of
four
course,
years
Biden looked
ago,
like it.
it was
Of
an
course,
important
I hate
moment.
both of them. This is the thing: is I'm external of party politics. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I don't like either at all. I think they're
Good
both
for you.
horrendous. I think they both support genocide. They're both war criminals,
It's so
right?
performative,
Um,
dog. It's so
but that's not a win
performative.
for you, my love, because you're actually one. That's
Um,
disgusting.
you're breaking up a little bit. What'd you say?
I said, that's not a win for you, Queen. You're saying that a fascist won. That's disgusting. Yeah, if I go up there and I have populist rhetoric, it's actually really easy to be a populist.
I'm not even
You
talking
do what Trump
about
did. It's
who.
actually meant
I'm
to be
not
really
even
stupidly
talking
easy.
about.
You say abortion, I say immigration. You say schools, I say immigration. You say violence, I say immigration. You say guns, I say immigration. Right? That's really
Mhm.
simple. Um, but that is horrible, and it's what caused some of the worst tragedies in the world. I don't think that the debate are like meant to be like a school debate where you like get rhetorical and style points, ooh ha ha ha. I think it's meant to be like who's maybe like a better person to have in charge and not cause absolute incredible ethnic
Well, the
violence.
point of the
And
debate
I think that's clearly Biden. I think that's
is to
unequivocal.
capture the voters, especially the undecided voters. That's the literal point of the debate. It's not
I
about
think the voters are
win or
stupid.
lose in terms of there's any
I
sort of
think Trump
binary
did.
way
I
to
think
check
Trump
it.
probably captured more voters. No, I
Right. Well,
think
that's the
Trump
pragmatic
certainly
point of these
captured more voters.
debates. So I'm just
But
saying this
most voters
idea
had
that
lead
it's
poisoning.
like,
They're incredibly dumb.
hmm God, dude, honestly, the leftist mentality, it's so condescending. You think that every single person is stupid but you, and it holds no water. And honestly, it
No, I don't. I don't think
poisons
everyone's
the
stupid.
larger democratic well. It poisons large democratic well. And
I'm
it's for
sorry, aren't we
social
the
media
ones that
points in
tell
the
everyone to go
present.
to school? Isn't the right wing the one that isn't the right the one that say we don't need education? Everyone should just get trades. And maybe the response of the leftists is like, well, yeah, maybe you are stupid because none of you go and get education.
I mean,
Like, I
everything
don't
you
know why
said
you're crying. The
is such
right is the
straw
one
man
telling people not
BS.
to get an education, and then when we treat you like not having an education, who's surprised?
Well, there's levels to education. I mean, someone who goes to a four-year college degree in, you know, BS self-determined study about some esoteric crap is not the same as someone who goes for an engineering degree or something, actually valuable or coding. Not
Yeah, but
all education is
esoteric
the
crap
same.
probably going to be better at talking about politics. They're probably going to be able to understand abstract concepts and
I don't know. I
discuss
mean, it
political
sounds like
issues on a large
if
scale
you
than
want to
someone
talk
who
about
studies
like
engineering.
internet brain rot, maybe, but if you want to talk about actually engaging with a population and winning elections, it's a different thing. And this idea that,
I once again, I don't think I
I
don't
mean, really, Biden,
I'm not
anyone who
judging my
was taking
candidates on who can win
any,
most elections. Like this is not like I don't vote for who I think has the most appeal to people. Trump has a lot of appeal to people,
uh-huh.
right? A lot of
I mean, I
candidates
like to
historically have had a
see
lot of appeal to people. Ronald Reagan won his two elections through massive landslides, right? He had
big
the
time.
most cohesive victory in
Hmm.
history on his second
Right.
election, right?
Here's a question. Do you
That
think
man
Obama was a good
was one
politician?
of the most evil presidents in United States history. I do not
So,
choose my candidates. I do not choose who I support or I stand up and say, yeah, I like them
mhm.
by how appealing they are to people. Ronald Reagan killed thousands of people like me by not acting on the AIDS epidemic, right? That man is evil. Of course, I don't give a shit what appeals to the average American voter.
Right, but I mean, the point is, ideally, in my mind, you want to have a candidate who A, you support, and B, that can actually win. I mean, if someone I love, but he gets one vote out of a million, I don't know what that does for me.
Well, I'm not sitting up here and like, all of you love the Greens, right? I'm just having a discussion about like, yeah, what Trump did up there was absolutely disgusting. It can be effective, but I think we need
Yeah.
to break this veil of like, yeah, it works, but that doesn't mean it's good.
Well, I also
What he
just
did
think,
there was not normal and was utterly disgusting.
well, I just think that, the villainization of people with concerns about immigration is also non-productive.
He's a
The idea
villain.
that there isn't, the idea that there isn't issues with crime, with drugs that has to do with an unsafe southern border, it's legitimate. It's
Sorry,
real.
immigrants are statistically less or once again, wait, immigrants are statistically less likely to be criminals than native born citizens. You know that, right?
Talking about legal immigrants or illegal immigrants.
All immigrants.
Hmm. Well,
This
I'm
holds for
saying
both
that,
legal as a subcategory and illegal as a subcategory and them as a whole.
right. Well, crime is multifaceted. I mean, the person who
But you said there was an
brings
issue with
in,
crime. What's the issue with crime if we're letting less criminal people into the country? You also said drug transfers. You realize a majority of fentanyl transferred through the southern border, which is the one they consistently talk about, was transferred by U.S. citizens, right?
regardless of the idea that if we have a border that's
But that's not an
unsecure,
issue with immigration. That's not an
whether
issue
it's
with
a,
immigration.
okay, well, in terms of
So cutting off
immigration,
asylum wouldn't change that. Cutting off detention wouldn't change that. We have the most militarized border, with the exception of the South Korea North Korea border in the world. What's the issue?
there's a ton of issues. I mean, among other things is the labor market. When you add more labor into a market with supply and demand and you increase supply, it affects the average income of uh, of folks who weren't immigrated in. And by the way, I'm pro legal
I mean,
immigration. I do think that we need to
pretty much
have,
every longitudinal. Sorry, you're just wrong on this again. Pretty much every longitudinal empiric study that's ever been done on large scale immigration across 10 to 20 years has shown that immigrants have boosted the economy of their host nation. Right? They've either
mhm.
boosted or had no effect. This is just
So
wrong.
if you
It's one of
want,
those things that like economists, like you talk about like internet brain rot. I talk about like academic with little graphs and little lines and just make shit up. The actual empirical analysis shows that immigrants, by and large, have either no effect on GDP per capita and labor growth, or a positive effect on GDP per capita and labor growth. And there are
no,
about three
no,
really good longitudinal studies that looked at one town,
no.
looked at a nation, right, and looked at a series of nations to prove this. It's just once again wrong.
In
It's
your
one of those things
mind,
that if
in
conservatives
your
went to
mind,
school and
you
went to
think that
university
if you
and
have,
studied one of those
mhm.
topics, they would learn.
In your mind, if you have 100
We just beg of
construction
you to go to
workers
university. Please go learn.
with 100, in your mind, you don't think that undercutting with cheap labor affects middle class America? I mean,
So
you look
let's
at
think
every
about this.
single kitchen
If you
for
bring
every
in
restaurant in
no,
America. You look at every
you're.
single
I'll try and
construction
explain.
site.
So I'm telling you the reality, and then I'll try to explain the reality. So I've told you the reality. Any conclusion other than the reality on your part is just wrong. You're just incorrect. In reality, the immigrants either help or don't affect the economy. Let's try and understand why that's true. Um, if we look at middle class Americans, oh, is he still here? Yellow. Oh, do I not have Wi-Fi, or does he not have Wi-Fi? He seems to be off. I can't hear or see you. Okay, we'll let someone else up here. I noticed Will is conflating legal and illegal immigration. I'm not conflating the two. I'm just talking about both in kind. I don't think there should be any illegal immigration, really. Hello, what did you send a guest request to talk about?
Hi, I wanted to follow up on kind of some of the points from that last conversation. I took some notes. Had a couple fact checks for you.
What is your view for these?
Sure. So the first one,
Like, what is your, do you agree with me? Do you agree with him more?
I agree with him
Just so I
probably
can
a bit
situate you in
more.
the conversation.
Yeah, I agree with him a lot more.
Okay,
So first fact check,
great.
you kind of talked about how Trump was always turning everything into immigration, which was obviously part of his planned strategy. But it was actually Joe Biden that mistakenly and unexpectedly brought up immigration during the abortion portion of the debate. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he did. He's like snatching defeat from the
Yeah,
jaws
but it
of
clearly
victory.
wasn't part of his consistent trained strategy. And also, that's not a
Yeah,
fact check. That's just additional context.
yeah, but it was Biden that brought it up out of the blue in the middle of the abortion debate. And I think Democratic strategists were looking at him saying, "What the fuck are you doing, Joe?"
Yeah, which doesn't undercut the point that I made at all.
No. I mean, Trump did it the whole time. That was
No,
part
he
of the
doesn't.
strategy. He thinks it's a winning issue for him. So he did that. He did that the rest of the debate. I agree. When Biden said, you kind of obviously Trump made a ton of lies, ton of inaccuracies. When Biden said we beat Medicare, I mean, what?
I mean, it wasn't a complete really sentence. I don't know what he meant.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure you're not one of those people where Biden can take a dump on their chest and they're still going to support him.
I hate Biden.
Yeah, well,
I vehemently.
yeah. So when it comes to immigration, obviously, I think Biden's executive action that he recently passed is a step forward. It's quite a shame that he repealed the Trump actions, waited 3 years, and then is putting that executive action in place right before the election. He should have put that in place right away instead of just letting what's gone on for
Don't
the
you
last
think that
3
the
years
action that
happen.
Biden just put in is flagrantly criminal on an international scale because it fails our
No.
obligations under the asylum seekers
Certainly no.
accords and the
Certainly no
and the
European
rights to
country would agree
asylum
with
under
you on
the
that.
Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Again, certainly no European country would agree with you on that. They have much stricter protections than we do. And what would have been nice is
Not on asylum.
if the Democrats
Not
had
on
passed.
asylum. You're incorrect.
You're interrupting me. What would have been nice is if Democrats have passed HR 2, which is much stronger than the executive action that Biden put in.
You're just wrong about European nations. Basically, no European nation has unilaterally shut down asylum seeking.
Well, they process a lot quicker than we do, and some do hold people in separate instead of releasing them into the public. Some European countries are more along the lines of what's Trump proposing, where they're kept out of the general population until their claim for legitimate asylum is confirmed. Unfortunately, a lot of people are being lied to
But that's
about
not what you claim.
asylum actually means.
That's not harsher than what Trump did. That's not harsher than what Biden did.
There are Democratic operatives that are telling people that they can claim economic asylum, which is almost always denied. Asylum is a personal claim of victimization against a government. And if you leave that government, like Nicaragua or Honduras, and go through another country like Mexico, you should claim asylum in the first country you get to. Why people are just using economic asylum as a bullshit excuse to come here and come through Mexico.
Bro, 1 second. I know this talking point. I don't need it repeated. The international law behind this is bogus. Because you're also under active threat if you go from Honduras to Mexico. It's not a safe country either. But second of all, the first safe country idea has been proposed in Europe and denied as well. But you claim something that's categorically false. No EU nation has taken as strong of an anti-asylum stance as Biden just did. You were wrong.
Well, they process much faster, which our country is incompetent at. So that's one of our issues.
But name the one that took a more anti-asylum stance than Biden did.
Slovenia.
Okay, did they cut off all Slovenia? What policy?
And I'll find the law, but I believe they do not let the people that are declaring asylum into the general population until that claim is legitimized.
Yeah, but they are allowed to enter Slovenia, yes?
Yes, and then they're held separately, like what Trump is proposing.
Okay, but that's not what Biden did. Biden barred migrants from crossing the southern border to receive asylum. Biden's measure is harsher than Slovenia's.
We are doing some asylum processing in Mexico. I believe he put in back into that Trump policy, the stay in Mexico policy, while their claim legitimate or illegitimate.
Yes, which is harsher than any other. That is harsher than any other EU nation. EU nation.
I'll look up in the background what I can on Slovenia. But the last thing I would say on the last speaker,
it's complete and utter bullshit. It's not true. Because the EU constitutionally is required to respect their international obligations, whereas the UK is not. That's why I know you're incorrect.
Yep, Slovenia is returning.
No other EU nation has had as hard of a one.
From Amnesty International, which is, I know, a very left-wing site that you probably agree with. They're complaining about Slovenia, saying
not left-wing.
They're saying they're
famously not left-wing.
Well, they are returning people to Croatia. So Slovenia is sending their asylum seekers back to Croatia.
On what grounds?
Violating the blanket ban during. Oh, they're doing it. This is COVID, partly due to COVID. They're saying, but they're doing it in 2023. Again, my source is amnestyinternational.org. You can type in Slovenia asylum and get some. Probably look at the same page. Lastly, I think it was incredibly rude
But
that
are they
you kept
asylum
this-
seekers from?
I'll finish. I think it was incredibly
What?
rude that you kept misgendering the last speaker. But that's probably just a you problem.
I didn't see their pronouns, and they didn't correct me. So they didn't have their
You can
face on. I
find-
couldn't even guess their gender. So I don't
I don't
think
know.
it
I
was
don't know if he
incredibly
told
rude.
you. I don't know if he told you
If
that he
I did
preferred to be
misgender
called
them, my
queen.
apologies.
Did he tell you he wanted to be called queen?
Have you matured beyond the third grade?
You're calling someone a queen. I mean, I'm a gay man. I don't
Yes,
care
and
if
I'm
you call
calling
me
you a
queen.
child.
Okay, go to bed.
Really high class discussions we have here, everyone.
Can you hear me?
Hello. I can.
Do I have a delay?
No, you sound fine.
Okay. I was going to tell you, I think it's very hypocritical of you to sit up here and say that Trump lied, which I'm sure he said his lies, but can you name off all the lies that Biden told at the debate?
I don't doubt that Biden lied. What's hypocritical about me saying that Trump lied?
You're sitting up here and you're defending Biden with your claims as if that he
What
didn't
did I
lie.
defend Biden with? Sorry.
I just
I never
tuned
said
it
Biden
out.
didn't lie.
So you would vote for Biden over Trump, though?
Yeah, I'd vote for a rock
Why?
over Trump. That doesn't mean I don't think that rock
Why would
didn't
you vote for
lie.
Biden over Trump for?
I'd vote for Biden. I'd vote for a Bush. I'd vote for a desk. I'd vote for a tree.
Yeah, but you're not
Trump. Yeah.
specifically telling me why you would vote for Biden over Trump.
Because he is not Trump and he is not a worse fascist.
Yeah, but give me any examples.
Right. So, I mean, he's not a convicted felon. He hasn't been found liable for sexual harassment. He hasn't,
How do you defend Biden's
he
racist
hasn't,
comments all the way through his
inflamed
political
racial
career?
tensions in America. Like, I don't know.
How do you defend Biden's
I don't know
racist?
how far we have to go.
How do you defend Biden's racist and very damaging comments towards the LGBTQ community throughout his political career?
Which comments did he make towards the LGBTQ community?
Well,
Being
he
anti-gay
called,
marriage?
Well, in 2008, him and Obama both said that marriage is between a man and a woman, and that they believe it'll always be like that. And I can give you the source.
And what was Trump's position on gay marriage at that time?
Can you find me a quote of Trump saying that he does not agree with gay marriage?
Trump's current manifesto is against gay marriage. The Republican National Convention manifesto is against gay marriage. Trump personally, let me just clarify this. It's written down in the current Republican manifesto.
Send me it because they don't exist.
Jalen, hear the words I'm saying. Trump.
I don't care what you have to say. I want you to send me the quote that Trump said against gay marriage.
Jalen, do you know what the Republican manifesto is?
Do you know what the quote was that Trump said against gay marriage? Because I'd like to hear it.
Yes, he's co-signed the Republican manifesto. Within it, it says that family life is necessary to the country and to the nation and must be protected, right, as marriage is between only a man and a woman. We can go out, search for videos, right? We can talk about specific contexts, but it's so, Jalen, it's so unequivocal when you look at the Republican manifesto.
So you're saying the president of the United States has got full power of everything that gets passed through Congress?
That's not what I said. Do you know what the Republican manifesto is?
You haven't answered any of my questions yet. For one, you haven't. Biden has also said in
I did.
1977, Biden said that he don't want desegregation in because he don't want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle. How do you defend that?
I don't. That's disgusting.
Exactly. So why would you vote for Biden over Trump? You're voting for a racist. You're going to vote for a racist over someone who you think does not support gay marriage. So how do you weigh the two?
Another racist, yes.
So how do you defend
So,
one?
I mean, both are racist as fuck.
So you're going to vote for a racist?
One and not the other. I just attacked the other. Yep.
It's just guys like you and Parker and whoever else that do these lives. You sit up here and you spew this narrative that one is better than the other, when it's reality they're both incredibly and bad for the country, for one, and for two, for you to set up here and act like one is even remotely better than the other is extremely hypocritical.
Yep, they're both incredibly bad for the country. Correct.
So why are you up here promoting one and not the other?
Once again, I'm not a Biden supporter.
But you just said you would vote for a racist.
Because I think one is better than the other.
You think racist is better than bad?
Than another racist.
Towards the LGBTQ
that
plus
also
community.
Happens to be a convicted felon. Trump has a horrible record with the LGBTQ plus community. It's his party that has been making transgender people basically.
I can send you a direct quote from Trump right now that said he said in his last
word
in this campaign.
Are you
everything?
Are you shitting me? Biden was. Wait. The Democratic Party is the only one that affirms trans people existing. How are you going to tell me that LGBTQ people are better off under a Republican?
They're going to struggle under both parties. What has Biden done for the LGBT community?
Exactly. That's what. But I think exactly. But I think that it's unequivocal that the Republicans are worse. It is stupidly, incredibly obvious.
But you're gonna play one better than the other. I mean, do you realize some of the nasty quotes that Biden has? He said you can't work at a 7-Eleven without a slight Indian accent. Like, how are you even remotely defending this?
He's a racist. I've told you multiple times he's a racist. Correct. Yeah, congratulations.
There's no way possible that you can justify voting for a racist.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't. Do you hear yourself?
Are you going to vote for Trump?
I'm not saying who I'm voting for, but for one, you can't justify voting for either one of them.
Oh, okay. Wait, so this is the thing. I will vote for the lesser of the bad racists. I don't actually know that I'll vote, but I'm saying I'm not morally opposed to saying, look, we have a literal active fascist that has been calling for retributive justice against his political enemies, right? Is a convicted felon, has been found liable for sexual harassment.
He's not found guilty. He's not legally responsible.
He has called for the complete restructuring, the harbinger of the end of abortion in the U.S., right? Either him or who's unequivocally also a horrible person. Joe Biden, he is a war criminal. He is a racist. He is probably a sexist, but he is not
an active, literal fascist
and convicted felon.
Are you a vegan?
No. This is also
do you support veganism?
Brain rot discussion to I'm finding I think veganism is great.
Okay, why don't vegans eat chicken eggs for?
I mean, for a series of reasons, depending which vegan you're talking.
No, I'm asking why vegans don't eat chicken eggs. You support veganism, but you support vegans not eating chicken eggs.
Different vegans have different opinions on this.
Give me the definition of veganism, and give me one vegan that eats chicken eggs. He wouldn't be a vegan.
I mean, which definition? So veganism under the Oxford Languages definition.
Yes, but a true vegan does not eat chicken eggs.
So the veganism under the Oxford Languages definition is a diet that doesn't include animal or animal byproducts.
Yes. So why wouldn't they eat a chicken egg for?
Because it's an animal byproduct.
But it's not living. It's got no life form whatsoever. So why wouldn't they eat it?
Is milk living?
It comes from an animal.
Exactly, it's an animal byproduct, just like an egg.
They don't eat chicken eggs because it's got potential to be a chicken.
They don't eat milk either.
I'm gonna send you the requirements it takes to become a vegan.
Such an incredibly mind-numbingly stupid argument. They also don't eat animals.
You're the one saying you're going to vote for a racist. I got you
You're going to
clipped
vote. Yeah, I
saying
mean, you came up here and defended Trump, who literally
I'm not
calls for
defending
the
Trump.
death
I said I'm
penalty
not
for
voting for
innocent
either.
black men. I don't think. No, you came up here to
I was
defend
quoted
Trump.
multiple times saying that I cannot justify voting for either one of them.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. That's your choice.
And
I
you
will do
said
what I
on your
can.
live that
I
you
don't
would
know if
vote
I'm
for a
going to vote.
racist over a sexist.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. I've got it clipped.
I said on my live that I would vote for Biden,
Well, I've got it.
who
I've
is
got
a
the whole live
racist,
recorded.
over
Cool.
Trump, who is a active fascist.
Joe Biden, for one, the Democratic Party, even CNN was in a full
But what was your
panic
point
mode.
about veganism and eggs and abortion, homie? Because like a vegetarian would eat eggs, which completely
I ask
disproves
you
your point.
vegan. I
Because
ask
they
you
don't,
vegan.
they eat animal byproducts.
They don't eat
I
chicken
know,
eggs.
but your point was that an egg was an animal, and thus that an embryo should be a person. Like I know the art, like
Why are you
incredibly
deflecting from my
mind-numbingly
argument
stupid
that I'm
argument you're
making
trying
about
to make.
Biden for? You're pivoting.
I'm not deflecting from your argument. What was the relevance of an egg being not eaten by vegans?
My opinion is that vegans don't eat eggs because it's a potential life form for animals, and a lot of them will tell you the same thing. A lot of vegans don't eat.
That's
A
not why
lot of
vegans
vegans
eat
don't have the
it.
animal
Don't eat it. It's
byproducts.
because
A lot of vegans don't eat things from animals because they don't want to harm the animal, or they don't want to kill animals in any way, shape, or form, unalive.
do vegetarians eat eggs?
Vegetarians and vegans are two different things.
I'm aware, but this disproves your point. The only difference between vegetarians and vegans is one will use and consume animal byproducts and one won't. And so a vegetarian, by and large, will eat eggs because it's considered an animal byproduct. Also, unless you're eating egg like fertilized eggs, it's not comparable at all.
I'll do
the
more.
period
I'll do
blood with
more
the little
research on my
teeny
stance.
egg that
I'm not
comes
afraid
out of
to
every
admit
woman is a
wrong.
living human being? No, of course not.
I'll definitely do more research on that stance that I have, but that doesn't go away from the stance that you're holding against Biden right now, or holding with Biden.
What?
And I can name you. I can name you 10 lies off the top of my head that he said last night in his debate stage. So why are you up here saying that Trump? Yes. So why are we talking about Trump's lies? And the majority of your audience ain't got a clue
because I don't
how the debate went last night, and they're sitting here thinking that Trump's the only one that lied.
I think Trump was
literally
worse.
the Border Patrol Union literally tweeted last night, "We will never endorse Biden," and he said they endorsed him on stage. Yep. And the people that he was referring to tweeted said, "We will never endorse him ever." They agree with the border policy that he's trying to pass, but they did not endorse him.
Yep, I don't doubt that he will lie. I don't doubt that he lied.
So you're defending. It's like it's so incredible to me the way you guys set up here and just spew lies out because you're part of the divide in the country is what you're doing, because the majority of Trump supporters don't have a clue about anything that he does.
I mean, I'm a communist. I don't think I'm part of the divide in this country.
Yeah, but the way that your live is set up here, and some random person that would join this would automatically assume that you're for Biden for the way that you're talking about Trump. Someone who wouldn't really know much about the two scenarios, like the two people.
But if you ask my question, if you ask me a question about what I'm saying, rather than just attacking, never shutting the fuck up, then maybe these assumptions that are wrong would be cleared. So let's try and have a productive dialogue rather than you just yapping, right?
How am I yapping? How am I yapping? I'm presenting you facts.
Trump, no. So Trump was really bad last night. He lied. He promoted populist, fascistic means of existing in politics. He's a horrible person. That's unequivocally true. I think the biggest issue with Biden was not true. He stated some inaccurate things that did constitute lies. He did lie. But that wasn't his biggest issue. His biggest issue was that he was just utterly, incredibly incompetent. I think, so if we're going to critique the both of them evenly, I don't think that's deserved. I think Trump deserves 10 million times more critiques than Biden does. He is a standing, living fascist, right? I think a useless little neo-lib deserves way less critique. We're way used to that. But Biden, his biggest issue was that he just looked stupid and he was incompetent. But Trump was actively malicious and evil. Can I not talk about Trump being actively malicious and evil without having the uselessly ridiculous conversation that, yeah, maybe a senile old man shouldn't be up talking to the whole entire country? Like, isn't that a bit dumb?
Yes,
Isn't that a bit tired?
I'll let you finish.
Okay.
Are you
Do you have
finished?
an issue with what I'm doing?
I have an issue with you not portraying both sides the way that they actually are, because you're gaining
Biden's
nothing. The only
incompetent.
thing you're
That's how he
gaining
actually
is motivating people to vote for a man who was racist his entire political career until the last 10 years.
Yeah, so was Trump.
I can find you quotes, and I'll send them, and I'll link them, and I'll DM them to you. I would
And
like
can
for
find
you to
quotes
do
as
the
well.
same
Trump called for the
with
death of
me.
three
I would like to
innocent
find. I'd
black
like
men.
to. I'd like to see you
Trump
for
called
you
for
to
the
send
death
me
of four innocent
quotes.
black men. I don't know.
He did what? Pardon me.
I mean, I'm telling you what happened. Trump called for the death of four innocent black men. Consistently. He took out newspaper ads calling for the death of four innocent black men.
And
He
what
made
was?
an unconstitutional immigration law that
Can you send me?
unconstitutionally targeted
Can you send
Muslims
me
for
the? Can
Muslim
you send me the
offenders.
story on that so I can? I remember
We can have
hearing
a
this.
discussion after this, right? But we can have a discussion after this on sources and points and whatever, right? If you don't actually know these claims, I don't know what in the world you're talking about. But Trump he fought for the right to discriminate his workers. He is a really racist
Trump's
guy.
got the
And also,
Trump's
this isn't even,
Trump's
right?
approval rating
I'm telling you,
amongst
I'm
Black
sorry.
Americans
This
right now is
conversation
higher
isn't
than
even.
Biden.
I'm telling you that, hey, yeah, I would be willing to vote for someone to prevent a fascist from getting into office. Right. I don't really care who that
So
person
why
is
is
as long as
Trump's
they're not
approval
an
rating
active living fascist.
amongst? Trump's got the highest approval rating right now amongst the African American communities he ever has. So how do
Yeah.
you explain that?
Fascists are really well liked.
Yeah, but you call Trump a fascist like it's better than being a racist.
Wait, better or worse?
Like Joe Biden has openly had racist comments, openly had sexist
I
comments.
do believe that being a fascist is worse than being a racist. Because fascism tends to be racist. And it is. Like, Trump's fascism is racism.
Trump has got his legal battles, his legal issues that he has right now, but the American people, for one, don't buy him. I can tell that. I'm not saying whether I do or not.
Once again, him being
approval
popular
rating
has
has
nothing to do with my
skyrocketed
position.
since.
Lots of people historically have been popular, my love. Lots of the worst people in the world were elected in. So, this is not the argument you think it is.
No, my argument with you is that you're defending one, and they're in your stance, they should both be equally as bad.
I'm saying one is worse than the other.
Yeah, but you're just providing opinions to make your claims. Like if someone else's opinion would be,
I'm making the point on why I think there's no way to have a holistic, cohesive discussion about everything as a whole that everyone has always done wrong, right? We can talk about specific things that you think Trump did. Right, sorry. That's why I want to talk to Trump supporters, right? It's because I tend to disagree with them more than I disagree with Biden supporters. I have disagreements with Biden supporters, right? But I tend to disagree with Trump more than I disagree with Biden supporters. So I'll be the Biden side, you be the Trump side, and let's have this discussion. That's why it's a discussion. I'm not just going to sit up here and kind of debate with myself between the two. That's useless and a waste of time. So let's do this. Let's have this game. And then maybe I'll have a Biden supporters and I talk to Biden supporters. I just personally find it way less interesting because I agree with Biden supporters a minuscule amount more.
Yes, Biden supporters and Biden
saying,
himself.
Why don't you represent two sides? I do. Wait, sorry. I represent the two sides. That's what you're up here for, Jalen.
No, you're doing.
You realize that, right? It's a debate.
You're playing into vote for Biden 2024, and it's utterly.
And you're playing into vote for Trump.
Very incompetent. No, I have not one time said on your live or anywhere else that I'm voting for Trump, or that I will vote for Biden.
I asked the Trump supporters to come up here, and you did. So at least visually, look.
I'm providing you evidence as to why you're defending Biden and why that is wrong. You're obviously openly defending Biden.
I'm sorry. I didn't know I was defending Biden. I didn't know.
Okay, but you're voting for Biden,
Have
right?
I actually
ever defended
any of Biden's actions? Is that the same thing as defending him?
So who won the debate last night then?
I don't think either won. I think we all died a little bit inside.
Yeah, but you had to choose one. Who won?
Depends what you mean by win. What do you mean by win? What do you mean by
who looked better? Who looked like they was ready to lead the country last night? If you had to pick one last night after
Trump looked
the only
better.
thing you had. The only thing you had to base off anything
to a
was last night's
majority of
debate.
human to wait. So if I had to pick one last night, I would have picked Biden. But to a majority of Americans,
You
statistically,
just
Trump
contradicted
did better.
yourself. You just said
Like
Trump. You just said Trump did better, and then you said you would pick Biden. You were going to pick Biden because you're a Biden supporter.
Trump did better in a debate. Biden is a better candidate.
How is Biden a better candidate? He's literally
Those two things are different. Once again, historically, lots of people throughout history were really good speechwriters and debaters and really good rhetorically, and were really horrible people.
So you're saying Biden is not
especially
a horrible
fascists. No, he is absolutely. I just think he's
So
a minuscule
you're contradicting
amount.
yourself.
How?
You're saying they're both horrible people, but you're going to
Yes.
vote for one over the other because one is less horrible.
Yes, that's what a two-party system looks like, my love.
So there's no other candidate to vote for.
Not a viable one. You could vote for Jill Stein if you really feel so called, but where I live, that's not a viable candidate.
So what does the next 4 years look like under Biden to you? Do you think inflation
Quite
goes
shit.
down?
Hopefully I'll leave.
Do you know? Like honestly, though, like as far as policy goes, what is Biden going to do? What is Biden going to do in the next 4 years to make life easier for us, as far as inflation, as far as everything that's to shit right now? Because he lied last time on stage. He said when he got into office, unemployment was 15.7%. I think it was actually 6.4% when he got into office. And now, like, it's just little lies like that there people don't pick up.
Once again, I don't think he's going to do much. I don't like Biden. I think he's probably going to harm this country even further.
So if you take away your feelings and what people, the fashionism or whatever.
I have pretty strong predictions on the basis of all of his actions now.
But what?
But we can look at the policies and the predicted effect of those policies.
Yeah, but who do you think, in your honest opinion, who's going to be better for the middle? Who's going to be better for inflation and getting things back to affordable for middle class people? I'm assuming you're middle class.
10 trillion times Biden. Are you kidding me? Trump's hallmark economic plan.
Okay, these tariffs. Okay,
these tariffs. Act of war and are sorry. Trump's hallmark economic plan, tariffs, are a act of war, are a direct cost to the middle class. Right? They cost the middle class hundreds if they were actually enacted. And he historically has increased taxes on the middle class. Biden has not. So Biden did not increase taxes on the middle class. Trump's tax cuts did. They increased the deficit, right? And they tax cut the wealthy. And then if they're expired,
you know how much billionaires paid percentage-wise?
While the wealthy ones are not, he will increase taxes on the middle class. You're just incorrect. The tariffs are a regressive tax on the middle class.
Can you tell me what percentage billionaires paid?
Look at this and say these are better for the middle class.
Can you tell me what percentage billionaires paid on taxes under Trump?
What?
Can you tell me what percentage billionaires paid on taxes under Trump?
What percentage? I think it depends which billionaire you're talking about.
What do you mean? There's one billionaire. There's
Name
billionaires.
one, and we can talk about the effective tax rate that he engaged in. What?
The average percentage.
I mean, we're talking about the middle class taxation.
You're avoiding my question.
I don't have that number in front of me. Do you?
Exactly. Yes, I do. It's more than 8.2% what Biden said last night. He lied again. He lied.
Biden lying is not okay. You asked me about which would be better for the middle class.
Yeah. It's almost impossible to. I mean,
but let's talk policy. Let's talk policy. No, you asked me a question. Let's talk about it.
Okay, what policy do you want to talk about?
Well, which policy of Trump's do you think is going to help the middle class?
For one, what he's proposing with these tariffs, I don't think anyone actually thinks that's going to happen. That's just a play on for. As bad as this sounds, the majority of Trump supporters don't.
So even you don't believe in Trump?
I believe that he can. I believe one thing that he can do better than Biden is he can get inflation down for one, and I think he can get this country on as far as.
With what policy?
Well, I'm assuming that he's going to get oil back in and get a lot of, I think GM and a lot of people went to Mexico I think he can establish a lot of businesses back into the United States.
With what policy?
Well, I don't know. They don't exist yet. He's not in the office.
No, he has propositions for policies. He's a stated manifesto.
I mean, really,
so does Trump. So does Biden.
These things change every
so
day.
What policy are you talking about? What can he do? What will he do? How will he do it?
Well, I don't understand. He's not in office. He hasn't proposed any policy that he would pass.
No, but he has proposed policies. He said the policies.
Yes.
He has set out the policies.
He's proposed several different things.
He said it. So which policies would get oil back in America and decrease inflation?
Can you hear me? I don't understand what you're asking.
His policies wouldn't do that. The tax cut on the wealthy would not do that. The tax cut on the wealthy increased inflation, right? Because it reduced money supply.
Yeah, but if he takes away state income tax, or for whichever one he said he would do, and he gets the tariffs done like the way that he wants,
take away state income tax
or federal, whatever it was. I don't know. I don't pay attention to policy.
He wants to reduce federal income tax. Federal income tax is one of the only progressive taxation systems we have.
If you would put tariffs on stuff, that would yank away one of those. That would be the whole point of putting tariffs on things.
I think tariffs on stuff would increase inflation. You realize that, right?
Yeah, but what did you just say? He's not taking away state income tax or federal. What did you say there? Do you understand what
when he had power?
Do you understand what he's proposing with the tariffs? Explain it to me.
Yes, that they would raise money. Using tariffs as a money-raising system is like incredibly regressive. It's like increasing sales tax.
So what would that replace then?
So ultimately? I believe if we look historically at what his taxation plan has been, he does tax cuts for the rich and then implements regressive taxation.
No, I'm asking you what
which is actually very common for Republicans.
What would the tariffs be replacing? What would be the whole point of putting the tariffs on? What would that replace?
It's an escalatory argument. It's an escalatory against China and external importation so that we produce more at home. It's to bolster American industry. But that's not all. That he also wants to raise money through the tariffs. Like he wants to use it as an actual taxation mechanism, which is horrible. It's stupid. It's a horrible idea to use taxation as a real tariff taxation as a real taxation, because it's one of the most regressive taxes you can have. Do you know what a regressive versus progressive taxation scheme is?
Can you name me 3 policies as Biden's passed?
Can you answer my question?
Can you answer mine?
I've answered 4 of your questions. Can you answer one of mine? Can you answer my question?
No, I can't. And
I'm not going to answer a further question for you. Okay, no, you can't. Okay. A progressive taxation system is one that hits the wealthier classes, right, and doesn't hit the lower classes as much. So our income system is more progressive because as you make more money, it hits you more, right? A regressive taxation system is one that tends to be even across those. So it costs like $500 to everyone, and therefore it affects the lower classes more than the upper classes. And so a sales tax is a regressive tax. Income tax is by and large progressive tax. And tariffs are one of the most regressive taxation systems you can have. So, Jalen, I need you to hear this. A tariff would come directly out of the pockets of the middle class.
Yes, I understand.
And Trump has said that this is his plan. When the Trump tax plan went into place, he did massive tax cuts to the wealthy. He did an extraordinary regressive tax.
I will find the source and link it that you're lying.
Okay.
This is not coming out of these tariffs. Yes, it would ultimately affect the middle class minimally. Yes, but
a majority of tariff costs go to the middle class. That's how they work.
No, I can't. I'm not going to be able to.
Do you know what a tariff is, Jalen?
Yes, I do, and I'm not going to sit up here and play this game of this unintelligent. You can't name me 3 fucking policies that Biden passed, and you're setting up here defending him. He's ultimately a racist. He's a sexist. He's had several claims in the past that has proven so.
Jalen, what's a tariff?
Let me talk. I've let you talk the last 20 minutes. I'll let you ramble.
Jalen, what's a tariff?
Pardon me,
Jalen. Calm down. And what's a tariff?
Tariffs is what you say.
And what?
Okay, I'm trying to explain it, and you're not allowing me to. So you sit here, and you make these claims, and it's just.
Jalen,
let me make my first point, and then I'll explain to you what a tariff is. Okay?
Can I make my first point? No. You aren't able to control yourself, so I will. Can you tell me what a tariff is?
Can I make my first point, and then I'll tell you what a tariff is? Can I make my point that I was making?
No, you may not. No, you may not. I'm telling you, you may not. Can you tell me what a tariff is, Jalen?
A tariff is a tax on exported goods. Okay, then let me make my first point. Okay.
No, it's not. Wrong. Incorrect. You're incorrect.
A tariff is okay. Say there's goods going. Okay, can you give me the exact definition of a tariff? Can you just go to Google and Google the exact definition of a tariff and tell me what it is then?
This is why, like, it's important that we know our terms, my love. A tariff is a tax on imports or exported goods.
What did I say?
You said exported goods.
Yeah. So how was I wrong?
Because it's imports or exports.
It's either one. Okay. What's your point? You're still not letting me make my point because you're playing me off the beat.
It's both. You are an idiot.
And you realize the first example of ignorance is insulting someone's intelligence. You would know that if you would be one bit of a respectable.
It's not insulting
debater.
if it's true.
Yeah, but you.
But what was the point you were attempting to make?
For one, you're a clown. For two, you've got no idea what you're talking about. And for three, I've sat up here and explained to you how Biden's a racist, and you said on your live that you would vote for a racist.
Yep.
And you just said it again. Like, guys, there's a reason. There's a reason, guys.
If I want to vote, I have to vote for a racist.
Do you realize how utterly ridiculous that sounds?
I have no one else to vote for that would have any impact.
So why not vote for a third-party candidate?
Why would I vote for?
Because you want to vote for a racist.
But what effect would voting for a third-party candidate have?
I don't know. Maybe protect the African American communities, Hispanic communities.
Through what mechanism? How would that have?
You're basically saying. See, you can sit up here and call me an idiot all you want.
I live in Virginia. How would voting in Virginia for a third-party candidate have that effect?
Well, for one, because they're not calling African Americans super predators. And then, how do you defend this?
I don't. Jalen, I asked.
But you just said you're going to vote for the See, you can't deflect from my point. You literally are defending this. And that's what's wrong with the majority of our country. You're not responding.
Jalen, I directly responded to your point.
No, you're not.
No, I said I won it. You said, how do you defend it? I said I didn't. How is that not a response?
But you're voting for him.
That's not a defense. That's just an acceptance of, like, helplessness.
No, that is utterly ridiculous. I never said I was voting for Trump.
Jalen, through what mechanism would voting for a third-party candidate protect Black people?
You don't think that would protect African Americans more than what voting for a outspoken racist would?
How?
I thought we were weighing our options here. Isn't that what you're doing with Biden and Trump? Aren't we weighing our options? Did you say you're weighing your options?
Okay. In reality, sit with me, Jane. I'm a person with a power. I can vote. How would using that power to vote for a third candidate protect Black people?
I'm saying that one candidate has outspokenly been racist, and I'm not voting for that candidate. I'm not voting for.
So does Trump. Both candidates have been outspokenly racist.
You have yet to provide me with any quotes or any statements that he has made. You're just having hearsay.
He called for the death of the. You can want in one hand and shit in the other, but
you don't have these proof.
Called for the death of four.
No, you can't find me evidence. Send me the link.
I also did provide you a direct policy that he did. The Muslim ban was ruled in court to be racist and xenophobic.
I want sources. I want link your source.
I mean, we can have a link or you cited something. You didn't provide me links or sources. I cited something.
No, I said I will.
But Jalen, let's sit down. Let's just say, Jalen, let's sit down for a second. Tell me practically how me voting for a third-party candidate would protect anyone.
Okay. Practically, let's say this third-party candidate has never said anything racist in his life, which majority of people haven't. That person would obviously probably have the best interest in mind for the minority community in this country. over someone who has been openly racist for the entirety of his freaking political career. Does that make sense to
And
you?
what effect will me voting for them have? And what effect will me voting
I don't
for
know
them
if
have?
enough people would do it. It would probably benefit everyone.
Historically, have enough people really ever done it?
No, but instead of you guys up here with this platform,
Is there any chance in a bat's hell that enough people do it in Virginia?
Yeah, but
So I
you
live
get
in
on these
Virginia, and
lives and you're
I can
promoting.
vote in Virginia. Is there any
You're
polling,
not
Jalen?
listening.
Is there any polling showing at all that a third party candidate has any chance at winning?
No, but you didn't let me make my point. My point is, you guys up here doing these lives that are promoting hate towards one or the other candidate, promoting one being better than the other. You guys have the
I
platform.
hate fascists. Yes.
Yeah, but you have the platform to promote these third-party candidates, but you don't.
I mean, I'd love to talk to Jill Stein. I think promoting a third party candidate historically has been a bad idea, though.
Yeah, but all it takes is one. All it takes is one. One election. If there ever was an election
Yeah, but
for
it
a
actually
third-party
takes
candidate,
it actually takes a structural change in how our system works.
no, it would take
So-
all the younger generation is going to be a lot of the
No, it wouldn't. It would take I mean, the whole entire system is set against third parties.
until it isn't.
No. Until the current system changes, but the change will not come through a third party being
Questioning the
elected.
integrity
It'll
of
come
our
from
election.
the two parties being pressured hard enough to have a third party in. But you're providing nothing
questioning
of
the
substance or
integrity
value. You're just
of
saying, yeah,
our-
both of these. Look, I think you have a more damning thing here. Is Joe Biden's a war criminal. If you want to talk to me, a leftist, and say why you voted for Biden, first of all, I don't know that I am. I don't think I've even registered, TBH. But second of all, he's a war criminal. He's funded genocide. He's actively supported genocide.
Yes.
Of course, I think he's horrible. Yeah, of course, duh. Unfortunately, so has Trump, right? So what do we do here, right? Both are.
So when have I said that
war
Trump was
criminals.
good?
You didn't. But you've wasted your breath talking about third parties, and also you've suggested there's an equivalency. There's not an equivalency. One is obviously worse than the other, and also you're sitting up here. It's incredibly cowardly. I told you what I would vote for, right? Are you going to vote, Jaden? Do you have any intention to vote? Why is this discussion relevant to you? Who
I
cares
plan
what
on
you
voting,
think?
yes.
What is the relevance? Okay.
I plan on voting.
Can you
but
take
my
ownership for
mind-
choosing who to vote?
I'm going to
Who do you think is the best person to vote for right now?
I'm going to strongly hope that there could possibly be different candidates come November when the ballots come out. And that's why I'm not saying right now who I'm voting for, because we've still got, June, July? We've got several months yet until the election. So for me to set up here and promote one candidate that we have the absolute disaster that we've got going on in Washington right now, for me to sit here and promote one or the other, I think would be very cowardly. And I think it's very cowardly for people to sit on lives.
How is it cowardly? Are you just stealing my words because you just heard me say that? How is it cowardly? What's cowardly about it?
You just admitted that Joe Biden is a war criminal and he's a racist and he's a sexist and he's a homophobic.
Mm-hmm.
And
I haven't seen
why it would be cowardly to set up here.
I haven't seen his sexist quotes.
I mean, have you seen videos of him sniffing children? I mean, what more does it take?
I think he's weird. I haven't seen his sexist quotes.
Have you seen? Didn't he have like a diary come out from one of his close relatives that said that he showered with him, or has that been debunked?
With who?
Was it his stepdaughter? I don't know. Look up the diary of someone Biden.
I'm not going to do your research for you, love.
Well, I mean, this is recent news. I mean, I don't know. They could have very easily been debunked since I read it, but obviously it's not in the mainstream. But you can find it.
It seems it's been debunked.
But regardless, it's
okay. Yeah. So
you haven't given me one good reason why you vote for Biden over Trump.
Your great political strategy is to hope and pray.
Yeah, if people like you quit spewing nonsense on the internet and try to persuading people for voting for someone who's less bad than the other person, when this person that's less bad is an openly racist, sexist, homophobe. That's what I hope and pray for. Yes.
Sorry, I want you
that
to
makes
engage
me a
with reality
coward.
Here for a
then
second.
I'm sorry.
If we get sorry, no. If we get to November, and we're in that ballot box, and we have Trump or Biden on there, can you take ownership for your actual opinion, Jalen? And tell me, which do you think would be a better candidate?
Between Trump and Biden in November, I think the best. I
Yeah,
think the best.
if that's the situation.
For one, I think Kamala Harris will be on the ticket in November. If I'm guessing right, because I don't think they're going to.
Can you answer the question as asked?
Who I would vote for right now, and like if this was November and the election was tomorrow?
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't vote.
Okay. Let's live in a different hypothetical then. Which do you think would be better for America and like the world? If Trump was the president for the next 4 years or Biden?
I think they're both going to be disasters in their own way. I think Trump. Let me explain this to you before you interrupt.
But this is okay. The thing is I think Trump is.
Let me explain. I'll explain. Let me explain this.
Incredibly worse. Exponentially worse.
Let me explain. Let me explain what my opinion is on this, since you want it so desperately. I think one's a disaster in the sense that if Biden gets reelected and he runs another 4 years and he's alive in 4 years, I think our economy and our inflation will be so bad at that point in time that I think that would be his disaster in that way. But he would keep the social issues at a lot better. But now, on the other hand, if Trump gets in the office, I think our economy and our inflation will go down. But I think as far as social issues go, that would be a disaster in that point. So that is a point where you got to weigh your option. Which one's worse?
Oh, this is an interesting conversation to have, Jalen. This is really interesting. But okay, because that's actually a discussion we can have. Let's look at the policies that Trump and Biden have proposed and talk about their effect on the economy. Let's try and have a little prediction and say, okay, will the economy get better under Trump or will the economy be better under Biden? Pretty much every economist looking at these policies, and historically, if we look at these policies, Trump's policies would cause higher inflation and make a worse economy. Whereas Biden's are doing the best to respond to an extraordinary economic depression following COVID. You said you'd let me to respond. You said, Jalen, you'd let me respond.
Okay, go ahead.
This is an interesting prediction. I appreciate you taking an actual fucking stance. You said that the economy would be worse under Biden. I think that's obviously clearly wrong. I think that's incredibly wrong. Right? The economy has grown quicker and developed faster and bounced back from recessions quicker under pretty much every Democrat for the past 70 years. So Democrats have a really strong record with the economy. Biden's policies have a strong record with the economy. Where if you look at what Trump is suggesting, they would clearly increase inflation. Decreasing taxes on the wealthy increases inflation, and tariffs, the highly regressive tax, increases inflation. And we just know this to be true. So we can have the discussion on the economy, but basically nothing that Trump is suggesting would reduce inflation. So I guess my question is, okay, what policy of Trump's do you think would perform better at reducing inflation and bolstering the economy than Biden's policy? Why do you have this prediction?
I'm basing solely my prediction off of what I've seen from 2016 to 2020, and that's what the majority of Trump voters will do. They don't listen to what people say.
I want you to be an independent critical thinker.
Listen, man, I've got
so take all the information you know about the whole entire world and justify this conclusion.
I'm not a college. I didn't go to college for politics. Okay, I don't have time for a lot.
Nor did I.
Okay, well, all I know is what I see in my day-to-day life, and what was better with Trump and what was better or worse with Biden. Okay, what I can see is, regardless of whether or not people claim the president has got nothing to do with gas prices, inflation, yada yada yada, all I know is with Trump, all that was lower and the cost of living was lower. And as soon as Biden got into office, all that went up. And everyone says, well, this Trump left a disaster. Trump had the worst disaster for his economy of any president ever with COVID. And nobody understands that on the left. Trump's economy was perfectly fine until fucking COVID hit. Any president...
What about Obama's economy?
Huh?
What about Obama's economy?
You can compare the two. I'm not familiar.
Obama's economy grew Obama's economy got better quicker than Biden's did, than Trump's did.
Okay, I was 6 years old whenever
And then,
Biden.
and then wait, sorry, and then Trump's economy actually slowed down in growth following Trump coming in, following Trump's policies going in.
Trump arguably has.
So this is the important thing, Jalen, is objectively economic growth and job growth and bounce back from the recession, etc., have been done better under Democrats. We can go through and point out histories and things. Just saying that it was better under Trump doesn't tell you a whole lot. This is why I ask about policies, right? What did Trump do that did this? What did he do that caused these things? Because from my view, everything he did do either had no effect, was a social war point, right? Banning Muslims, no, doesn't actually help anyone, or was actively detrimental. That's why increasing growth went down. So I think when you talk about Trump, like, there is a view that Trump basically inherited his economy from Obama. And I think that view is pretty close.
Okay, so
what do you say to that?
Okay, so the economy is better now than what it was with Trump. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that when you talk about, I only know what I experienced.
Trump's economy?
He did.
So why didn't Biden do
He
the
also
same
inherited.
thing with
He also
Trump's economy
inherited
as
the
what Trump
disaster
did
of
with
COVID.
Obama's economy?
Wait, no, Jalen.
With this view that you're holding, you would say that Trump did a better job handling Obama's economy than what Biden did handling Trump's. So you would say, in that view, you would say Trump is better situated to handle an economy than Biden.
Sorry, that's not the metric.
Yes, it is. It's exactly what you just said.
That's not the metric. No.
Now you're gonna back up on it. It's exactly what you just said.
What I said was that Trump didn't help the economy. He kind of continued the growth that Obama already had, because that growth went down following Trump, right? Like, the GDP increase was lower under Trump than it was under Obama's second term.
But you would agree that Trump had a better economy than Biden?
Now, yeah, because he was pre-COVID and not post-COVID. If you include COVID, no.
He was.
If you include COVID, you're totally wrong.
Yeah, but you realize these statistics that some of you guys use for Trump's economy and his unemployment rate and his whatever.
I want you to talk to me, Jalen, and I want you to respond to Jalen. I don't want you to talk to just liberal TM. Talk to me, please.
I'm here. I'm talking.
So let's talk to us. Okay.
Yeah.
So talking to, like, some of the statistics you guys use, it makes it very difficult for me to speak to you, and it makes it impossible for you to speak to me.
Some of you.
I know. But I'm not some of us. I'm me.
Referring to you individually. I was referring to people who sit and do the
so
same thing.
I just need you to respond to the things I'm saying. So can you hear the response that I give you to the actual logic that you set out? Because I believe your logic is wrong.
You want me to repeat my logic that I said?
No, I don't want you to repeat it. I heard it. I'm going to respond to it. Let me respond to it.
Go ahead.
Okay. It's really simple. The view that Trump inherited Obama's economy is backed up because you can't tie a lot of what Trump did to the success of the economy. And the success of the economy actually decreased under Trump. So Trump's economy was following a recession, so it's naturally going to go up, 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 up. But that boost, that peak that was under Trump, was not as high as it should have been. It wasn't the growth that we expected, and actually the growth of the GDP. So the I forget what that's called. Like the growth of the growth. So the increase of the increase went down under Trump. He handled the end of a recession worse than Biden did, or than Obama did. Whereas Biden was coming out of a recession, and the way the economic markers that he had coming out of the recession were comparatively very good to how Trump handled his economy. Because we can point precisely to the policies that he enacted that caused the direct economic response. So when we say who inherited what, it's really, really lazy reporting to say it was good under this portion of the Trump administration, and it was bad under this portion of the Biden administration. Because we've made a full economic recovery, by the way.
You realize the majority of people don't have time to do that deep of research. All they see is what they live and what they.
Yeah, majority of people trust what politicians. Yeah, this is correct, and majority of people are wrong.
Yes, but
you're correct. It is lazy. It is lazy, and this is why we need experts. This is why we need experts to do the analysis for us, right?
No, what I'm telling you is
Trump doesn't fucking trust the experts. He consistently says that the economists and the Federal Reserve are liars and useless. This is the Federal Reserve's job.
Trump was never liked from the first
How
day
do
he
you
got in
solve this
office.
then? People are lazy and aren't good enough at the analysis. Who are we going to trust?
Like, are you referring to media, or are you referring to like media outlets that report these experts, or what are you or the actual experts?
I'm just
Like,
asking you, how do we solve this issue?
do you believe that media lies to the public?
Yeah, of course they do. How do we solve this issue?
So if media is lying to the public, then that would be your step number one to fixing the issue that you're referring to, would it not?
Yes, I agree.
Because if the media is
How do you think
responsible,
we should fix the media?
the majority of media is what? Are they Republican or are they Democrat and liberal?
The largest media entity in America is a flagrantly Republican and
No,
conservative
I'm asking
entity.
you what
Fox
the
News.
majority of media is that does reporting. What is the majority of media? Are they Republican or are they Democrat?
So the
You just admitted that.
I'll
No,
repeat
see,
it.
you're going to
The
prove it off this.
largest
You
media
just admitted to me.
entity.
You
Okay,
just
so I
admit-
mean the
no,
largest media
no,
conglomerate.
let me finish.
The largest media conglomerate owned by the Murdochs is actively right wing.
Listen,
So
you just admitted that media
by
lies.
viewership, it's pretty even.
No, okay. What is CNN?
Everyone knows that.
What is CNN? Are they
What is
liberal?
CNN? They're slightly left leaning.
Okay, what's
They're slightly left
MSNBC?
leaning. Slightly left leaning.
Like, okay, you want to keep going here?
What's PBS? What's the leaning of PBS?
I honestly don't know. What is it?
Jade? They're slightly right wing.
Okay, the
Does a
majority of
conservative
media.
or liberal own
What
CNN?
is Twitter, Facebook? What is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram?
Jalen. Does it?
What
Jalen,
are these?
Jalen,
No.
Jalen,
What are these? Answer
Jalen.
me.
Jalen.
You're wrong. You can't answer my questions. You made a statement, and now you're trying to come
Wait,
back
sorry,
off
did
of
I
it.
not just answer your three
You said
questions,
media
Jalen?
lies, and
Jalen,
no,
did I
you
not
said
just answer
media
your three
lies, and
questions?
I'm proving you
You
the
asked me
majority of
three
media
questions.
is liberal.
Okay, Jalen. You asked three questions. I answered three questions. I've answered them. People see me answer them. You need to learn to stop speaking at certain points. You can unmute if you can figure out how to do it. There we are, Jalen. I know your thesis. You've repeated it 4 times. You don't need to interrupt me to repeat it again. Does that make sense?
Your thesis or your claim was wrong, and now you're coming off of it, and you're going to backtrack on it.
What claim did I make?
You claim that media lies, the majority of media lies, and I'm proving you that the majority of media is liberal. So that would be a problem to address. But see, guys, like you can't
But
address
what was the point that I made that was wrong?
You're coming off of the point that you're making. Admit that what you said just threw the media into this big group that said that they lie, and I'm proving you that the majority of them is Democratic left-wing people. Yes, so the majority of that would be liberal.
I disagree that the majority of it. Okay, that's
You're
interesting,
disagreeing.
Jalen.
The majority of media is liberal.
Jalen, I'm going to have to mute you again if I can't get a sentence out.
Go ahead, Buster.
Okay. Okay, look. First of all, certainly not left wing. I'd say basically 3 media outlets are properly left wing. Very, very few left wing major media outlets. Second of all, conservatives, by and large, control the media. If we want to talk about shareholders and private owners of media, Murdochs control a huge swath of the American media, and they are outright consistent conservatives. CNN is owned by a conservative. If we want to talk about who controls the media, it's by and large conservative. Do we want to say that there are some mainstream media organizations that have a consistent liberal leaning? 100%. MSNBC clearly has a liberal leaning. CNN clearly has a liberal leaning. What?
Yeah, and who owns Meta?
Who owns Meta?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a publicly traded company. Lots of people own Meta. Are you talking about the CEO of it?
I'm asking you who owns it. Who's got the biggest stake in Meta?
A lot of people. It's a publicly traded company.
And give me
I think
some
I
examples.
technically have a stake in Meta. It's in the S&P 500.
Yes, and it's very left-wing.
Meta is left wing.
The owners, the executives of Facebook. Okay, now that Elon has bought Twitter out, Twitter is, or X, whatever it is. It's its own thing. It is what it is. But the biggest outlets in the world that are portraying information to the mass public are liberal leaning. Like the Conservative
let's
Party
just look the numbers up
is
of their lobbying numbers.
dying.
I'd be intrigued to see.
There's Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook, man. What is he? Is he a conservative? I mean, just get real.
I'd love to see Hired Firms lobbyist issues, report images. Let's see where their money went. Report images. No, wait.
If you're going to say that social media is controlled by conservatives, that might be the wildest statement that I've heard this year.
I didn't say so. Sorry. Just to be clear, I said mainstream media. I said mainstream media.
Social media would be larger than mainstream media in today's world. More people are going on
I know,
Instagram,
but we were
Facebook.
talking about mainstream media.
Yeah, but that is mainstream would be
let's
like
have one discussion of sorry, you know what I mean by mainstream media.
Yeah, but mainstream is posting on these social media.
Let's have one discussion at a time, Jalen. Jalen, it's a waste of time to speak to you if you can't have an actual discussion. I'm happy to talk about social media discussions. Okay, I'm sorry. One second, Jalen. I'm happy to talk about social media, but let's have a discussion. And then you're like, okay, that's mainstream media. Let's talk about social media ownership.
Where does mainstream post their news?
Do you think that that's a fair expectation? Jalen, do you think that's a fair expectation of a discussion?
Where does mainstream media post their news?
I mean, a lot of them post it on their own stuff, but then they promote it on social media, just like lots of people do.
The majority of people are getting their news from social media. TV and satellite are dying.
But we were talking about mainstream media. Once again, I agree that it's relevant.
Mainstream,
I mean,
that's mainstream.
You know what I mean when I'm talking about mainstream media. But yes, okay, that's fine, okay. Jalen. You know what I'm talking about when I talk about Jalen. Do you know what I'm talking about when I talk about mainstream media?
Can I give you what I mean when I say mainstream media, so we're not confused?
But please first recognize that I'm speaking and you understand the words that I'm saying.
I understand you're saying mainstream. I'm confused about, are you just indicating that people only get their mainstream media off the television?
No. What I'm talking about is what we were talking about, which is mainstream media outlets, MSNBC, right? CNN, Fox News. That's what we were talking about. Those things are different than social media. They're two different discussions. We can have them. They're both relevant, but we can talk about this and we can talk about this. You're right. Okay, great.
I understand that. Yeah, you're
pivot, move. It makes it physically frustrating to speak to. It makes it impossible to speak to you. So please, let's talk about one thing. We can talk about mainstream media. We can go through the mainstream media biases, right?
Okay, I'd love.
And I would say it's pretty split. But if we talk about ownership, it's clearly conservative. If we talk about ownership, it's clearly conservative. Who owned CNN? Oh, Warner Bros. Let's see who owns Warner Bros. Oh my God, Advanced Publications. This goes on forever.
I think if you trace it back far enough, there's like four companies.
Donald Newsom.
I think if you trace all these back far enough, there's like four companies that own the entire country.
Let's see what his politics look like. Syracuse U. I wonder what his politics are. Media, philanthropist. This is why I think it's weird. It's like we're actually looking at who's founding and owning these. Politics.
I would venture to guess the majority of billionaires that own companies.
What would be interesting is where their lobbying dollars go. So where do
probably the Biden administration.
I actually would guess differently. I would imagine that it's probably towards the Trump administration because he consistently pushes for deregulation of them. I don't see why they would go towards the Biden administration. Biden hasn't done much to benefit them.
Well,
Why do you think?
so you're saying that
the
the
Biden administration? Do you think they really care about trans people that much?
Wait, are you saying the majority of billionaires would be conservatives?
Yeah, they are.
And why would that be?
Or at the very least support conservative candidates. Like most lobbying dollars go
That would be inferring
conservative candidates.
Would that be inferring that
where do you think they come from?
Well, would that be implying that conservatives would be better businessmen and women than what Democrats and liberals would be?
The businessmen certainly tend to like Democrats more, or Republicans more, depending on who you ask. I think it's kind of shifting with the Trumpians, but conservatives tend to be the party of businessmen. Yeah, that doesn't mean they're good. The government should be antagonistic towards business quite often.
So if you don't have a group of billionaires, like if you don't have an established group of billionaires in a country, like that would eventually, do you think that trickles down to the middle class? Or do you think that has nothing to do with either one of the two?
No.
Are not comparable? You don't think they're comparable?
No, I think it's incredibly stupid and moot of an economic theory.
Okay. What do they call it? The trickle-down theory?
Yeah, the trickle-down.
Like if you have an established set of billionaires that are better.
Some of the countries with the highest happiness, highest economic growth, highest economic independence have extraordinary taxation on billionaires.
I guess we're going to have to. I know you called me a coward and an idiot several times, but I will forgive you for that. I'm not going to insult your intelligence.
I called you a coward for not admitting who you would vote for and having this discussion.
I said that I would eventually.
And I called you an idiot when you said that I was implying that you were an idiot.
Okay. You're telling me that I should know who I'm going to vote for 6 months before the election.
Like, I mean, have you never heard of undecided voting? You should have an opinion rather than just bitch and moan.
I have a very strong.
You should say, "Yeah, Trump's better," or "Yeah," which you finally did make. You finally did say, "Yeah, actually, he'll probably be better for economic issues, but worse for social issues." That's an opinion. Have one, and I appreciated you for having one, and you finally did. So yeah, you're not as much of a coward now. Congratulations. But when you were just coming up and moaning about me saying this, yeah, I think it's wrong. If I truly believe that Trump is a fascist and is going to engage in is going to fund ethnic cleansing foreign wise and engage in incredibly racist and horrendous policies domestically, and I'm pretty sure that Trump won't, or I'm pretty sure that Biden won't. I don't care how shitty Biden is comparatively. Right? He can be a liar, he can be horrible, he can be sexist, whatever. He's not a convicted felon. He isn't found liable for what?
Just so I don't think some of these new viewers heard that all the lies that Biden told on the stage last night. If you could, would you mention those to them?
I don't doubt that he lied.
You don't think Biden lied?
I don't doubt that he lied.
Okay, so you need to make your title Trump supporters and Biden supporters. Let's talk about the debate.
I don't need to make anything. I don't need to do shit. My goal is to make Trump look bad.
Your title.
My goal is to make Trump look bad.
Yeah, making Trump look bad because you
support
Biden.
My goal is not to be an independent journalist.
You haven't admitted that
you look bad because he's a raging fucking fascist.
Well, it's because you just don't like him, and he hurts your feelings. Is the biggest reason why you don't like Trump.
I don't like fascists. Correct.
But then you're going to vote for him.
I just don't like him. Why would I just not like him?
You don't like his. I think it's. I don't
like him because he's a fascist. I don't like him because he's a convicted felon. I don't like him.
Yeah, but then Biden's a racist. I mean, and I can bring up proof that he is, and he said that gay marriage shouldn't be allowed.
Yes, they're both shit.
And
How
he's
is are
also
you
said he
incapable
called
of doing
black
these
people
things? Yes.
super
Wait, you
predators.
don't need
He
to
said
repeat it. Yes, I don't like either. Correct. Do you? Okay, Jalen, do you like
he said
Trump?
in 1977 that he don't want desegregation because he don't want his kids to grow up in a
Jalen, do you
racial
like
jungle.
Trump?
And I don't like either candidate, but I'm proving to you why you're
Great,
being
then we agree.
hypocritical by supporting one and
How
not
am I
the
being
other.
hypocritical?
If you support one,
I've told you
because
explicitly
you're
what I want. Yeah, I do. I support one more than the other. That's not hypocritical. I can support something I don't like.
but for me, it would be hypocritical for you to set
You
up
can
here and
understand
defend
this,
one.
right, Jalen?
I understand what you're saying. Yes, I disagree with it.
Do you? But you? Okay, Jalen. We need to agree conceptually. Okay. If we had
Okay.
if we had I don't know how to make this example without making it ordinarily offensive. If we had literally the guy from the 1930s in Germany running for president, and
Yes.
then Hillary Clinton, who was not a
Okay.
good person. I don't like Hillary Clinton either. She's a war criminal. But
See
if
what
those
you're
were our
doing.
literal options, would you be
You
saying
can't
what you're
compare
saying?
one of these people to a person
I'm
who
not saying it's
unalived
comparable.
millions
I'm
of
not saying
Jews.
it's comparable.
You're comparing one
Jalen,
to
I'm not
the
saying
most
it's
evil
comparable.
man
You
in
need to
history,
understand what I'm
which is
saying.
utterly
I'm not saying it's
ridiculous.
comparable. Jalen, I'm not saying it's comparable. Jalen, I'll repeat 10
You're
times. I'm not saying it's
exactly
comparable.
what you're doing.
What I'm saying is we need to agree in principle. Would you agree that it's acceptable to vote for Hillary in that case?
Obviously, in that case, but what the comparison that you're making is very wrong.
Okay, so voting for the lesser of two evils, on some scale is acceptable.
But
What
we're
we need to
talking
debate
about
is the scale of that. What you're wasting everyone's time doing is debating a thing you agree with, which is that voting for the lesser of two evils is acceptable. You're saying, well, it's hypocritical to suggest that I should vote for one that's bad and the other. No, you and I agree that the voting for the lesser of two evils is a okay thing to do on some scale. Okay? So
on
you
the
need to actually
worst
make an
scale that
argument
you
on
could
why that
possibly
scale is
have.
different. I don't think it's comparable to the H guy, but I think it's acceptable. I think it's acceptable to say, yeah, Trump's so incredibly worse than Biden that it's worth voting for Biden.
So what you're saying is there's the same gap between Trump and Biden as what there is between the man from the 30s and Hillary Clinton.
I explicitly told you I wasn't.
So your comparison would would just be completely undermined there and utterly ridiculous in left field.
I'd never said they were comparable.
Yes, so we can make this
I actually
comparison
told
with
you
a lot of
about
things.
10 times that they were not comparable.
Yes, but we can make this comparison so many other ways. What you're doing is toxic.
You didn't understand the argument I made, or you're actively ignoring it.
Yes,
You're either
I
actively ignoring it or didn't
110%.
understand it.
I get what you're saying, that in certain circumstances, it's okay to vote for the lesser
Then your
of two evils.
response is mind-numbingly stupid. Okay,
Your
then your
comparison
response
was
is wrong,
mind-numbingly
because you
stupid.
agree that it is. You agree with the principle I was trying to prove.
Yes, but that principle does not apply in this
I'm glad we
situation,
agree.
is what I'm saying.
Oh, great. That's the discussion
Your
I wanted to
theory
have.
does not apply here. It don't apply to this situation.
But no. This is interesting. We agree in principle. Okay, we agree in principle. What is the reason that this concept that both of us agree with, that voting for lesser of two evils, does not apply here?
Because one hasn't unalived millions of Jews.
No. You agree with the concept. Let's talk about the concept. You agree conceptually that voting for the lesser of two evils is acceptable.
What I'm saying
when
is
is voting for the lesser of two evils acceptable as a rule, and when is it not?
As a rule would be is if someone would have unalived a whole religious group of people in gas chambers. Yes, that would be a good time to do
anything less
this.
and it's not acceptable? So anything less and it's not acceptable?
In the current situation of the presidential candidates, I do not think it is appropriate to apply that logic to this.
What's the principled
Is my
line?
stand.
What's the principled line?
I'm not going to make a line. You can only do this. There's no principal line to make here.
Okay.
I'm not going to say you can't. If
Hashtag guest doesn't understand what allergies are.
You don't understand what I'm saying. I told
No,
you that
this
I
is what
don't
everyone
agree
who's
with.
like mind-numbingly stupid does with analogies.
I understand your analogy. I get it. I said that analogy does not apply to this
Then
situation.
respond to it
And now
reasonably. What is the actual
you're
principal
telling me to
distinction?
draw the
Tell
line.
me how many people you have to have on the line for this to attack it. Tell me why. Tell me why it has to. What is the differential that has to be there?
You're asking me to
How
draw a
much?
line of
How
how
much
bad a
different do the
president
two
should be.
candidates have to be? How big of a difference do the two candidates have to be? Because I think voting for Trump will literally cause thousands of Palestinians to die extra.
And you just admitted
I
that
do
Biden's
believe
a
that.
war criminal.
Yes. So I believe a few thousand more Palestinians will die under Biden, and then a shit ton more Palestinians will die under Trump. So how big does that difference have to be
Do you
for
realize
this concept to
Do you
apply?
realize the damage that Biden did to the Middle East by pulling out of Afghanistan and giving them all of our supplies that we had over there? Do you realize the damage that that did to
Jalen,
the?
can you answer my question, or are you just saying you won't?
And I will gladly answer your question. Ask it again, please.
How big of a difference between candidate A and candidate B does it have to be for me to say, yeah, I'll vote for candidate A even if they're horrible? How bad does candidate B do? Because to me, it's any amount.
I'll explain
If
this for
candidate
the
B
90.
is a little worse or a lot of worse, right, I'll vote for candidate A because I want the better candidate. Because that's
I'll
how
explain
two-party
this.
systems work. But you're
I'll
saying, no.
explain
There has to be some different differential. How
Listen,
big does that
listen.
differential have to be?
Okay, I'll explain this for the 9th time, and I'll slow it down for you. I'll explain it though. The analogy that you made between Mustache Man and Clinton,
Answer the question I asked.
understand. I'm answering
Answer the
it.
question
I
I asked.
understand the analogy that
You're
you
not.
asked. My answer to your question was
It wasn't an
this-
analogy.
and my answer to
It wasn't an analogy.
my answer to your question then would be that I don't think there's a big enough the gap between Trump and Biden is nowhere near of the level between Mustache Man and Hillary Clinton.
Never claimed it was.
Exactly. So
Never
then
claimed
you
it
would
was.
agree
Answer
that
the
your
question that I
logic
asked. Do you
does
want me to
not
repeat the
work.
question? Do you want me to repeat the question? Would
You
like me
can't
to
draw the
repeat
line
question that I
because
asked?
they're equally as bad. Is my answer.
Oh, okay.
And
But
you
wait,
don't
sorry. This
understand
is interesting. This is interesting. You're saying they're equally as bad. I'm saying one is worse than the other. Let's have that discussion rather than debating the concept of.
Did I not answer your question?
Taking the lesser of two evils. That
Did
doesn't
I
answer
answer
my
your
question.
question? Please tell your audience that I answered your question.
No, you didn't.
How did I
You
not
did
answer?
not answer
Explain
the
to me in detail how I did not answer your question. Explain it to me.
I asked you, how big of a differential between these two candidates must there be for this concept to apply? And you said it does not apply in this specific case because there is no differential. That does not tell me how big of a differential there must be. Did you understand that?
There's not a generation
little
of people that's going to. There's not people who think that Trump or Biden, either one, is on the level of the man in Germany. Okay, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want your live to get restricted.
I never claimed they were on the level.
But
did you understand how I just suggested you did not answer the question?
I answered your question. You just don't like the answer that I gave you.
You didn't. You didn't tell me what the differential between candidate A and candidate B had to be.
I told you,
just
that
said
that's
that
not
in
my
this
place
specific
to
case,
draw
there
that
is no
line,
differential.
and I
But
don't
that doesn't
think
tell
that
me
there's-
what the requisite principal differential has to be.
Well, that is not my job to make that. That's all opinionated. Why would you want my opinion since you think I'm a coward and
But
I'm
you
an
said
idiot?
that the concept didn't apply. Right? And so I'm asking you, as a general conceptual fact, how big of a difference does it have to be? So I'll just ask you directly. If I can prove to you that Biden is slightly better than Trump, would you agree with voting for Biden, even if he is still horrible?
If you had proof and evidence that Biden would be better and would end up being better for the American people, and you had no doubt evidence of these claims, yes, I would vote for Biden. But see, that's just a fairy tale at this point, and it's never going to happen.
So you also would vote for a racist.
Like, did you not hear the last part of my sentence?
People.
I said if that was the case, but that is not the case. is what I said.
Yeah, but
You're
you
putting
also
words in my mouth because you're scared.
I have the
Because you're
same. I have
scared
the
because you
same.
openly
Wait,
said
sorry. I
on your
have the
live
same.
that you would vote for a racist over a fascist, like racism is better than fascism. And now you're trying to put
Racism is
words
better
into
than
my
fascism.
mouth of things that I have not said. I have not said any of that. You asked me
Sorry,
under
I
in
will
the
say that again.
circumstance.
Racism is better than fascism because fascism has requisite in it racism.
Okay, well, I'm not taking a stance on any of that because it's not my place to do so. But
Man said that racism wasn't better than fascism. What are you on?
you said that you
Fascism
would
is like
vote for
an
Biden.
evolved form of racism. Yeah. Yes.
You're putting words into my mouth. Okay, go ahead and explain again what I said at the end of that sentence. You
Well,
said
you
when I
would
vote for
vote for
Biden, if you
Biden
could
on.
prove.
Wait. So you also would vote for Biden on a condition. That's what the word "would" means.
You said
Would
if
is
you could
conditional.
undoubtedly prove to me that he was a better candidate for the country and he would be better for the American
Yeah.
people, if that would be an undoubtable fact, anybody that wouldn't be biased and wouldn't be trying to push a political agenda would vote for Biden. But see, guys like you don't care who's better. All you care about is who's pushing your agenda that you want.
I do. What agenda do I have?
Exactly. You're setting up here clowning
I'm
Trump because
effectively
you
a
said his
one-issue
lies.
voter
But
right now.
I named
You
you. I
realize
named
that,
you
right?
more lies. You have yet to name me one lie that like you named like maybe one actually. I'll give you that of lies that Trump said. But then Biden has spewed the same amount of
I named
lies on
about
stage.
4
You never
or
said he
5
one.
that Trump directly did.
Okay, do you realize that Biden had the freaking
Sorry,
border union on
I think I named
Twitter,
up to 7 things that Trump said that were flagrantly false.
and Biden did the same. So what's your point?
What?
Biden lied
Jalen,
also.
I'd rather, because you're trying to throw me in with her. Jalen, you're trying to throw me in with a racist, and I don't love and appreciate that.
I'm just basing everything
You
off of
also
what you've
said
told me.
that you
I don't know you.
Shush.
I'm just
Shush.
all I have is the
Stop
information that
speaking.
you've given me.
Okay, I mean, 1 second. Come on, bro. Okay. So you're also making your decision on who to vote for on the basis of which one will serve the American people better. And it is not disqualifying for you that one is a racist. Okay? Like that is the extent.
When did I say that? No. When have I said that? I have not made one claim about who I'm voting for and who I'm not voting for. I've not made one claim about that.
That's not true, Jalen. You just said that if you believed, and it was shown to you undoubtedly,
You gave me a hypothetical.
that Biden would be
You
better
gave me
for
a
the American people.
hypothetical to answer for. I'd vote for fucking
Yes,
Pikachu.
that's what the
if he had
would.
the
Wait,
best
that's
interest
what
of the country.
we're talking in hypotheticals, my love. My ideal situation is they both have a stroke. Like that would be great. But in the hypothetical that they're both on the ballot in November, right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking in hypotheticals, Jalen. So yes, that's what would.
Yes, you're holding it against me that I made a claim to your. I answered your hypothetical.
In the
now
future.
If I said I was voting for Tarzan,
you need to hear the words I'm saying before you can respond to them. You need to stop speaking before you can continue speaking, as you don't understand what you're responding to, because I didn't finish the point I was making. What was I wrong about, Jalen?
You're judging me off of the. Okay, can you let me finish this statement without interrupting me, please? Can you let me finish without interrupting me?
What judgment did I pass on you?
Can I finish this?
What judgment did I pass on you?
Can I finish?
What judgment did I pass on you?
You gave me a hypothetical. I'm explaining this to you. You gave me a hypothetical. I answered that hypothetical, and now you're saying that I made a statement on who I would vote for. I answered the hypothetical that you laid out in front of me. Okay? That's not
you
saying
made a statement
who
on
I'm
who you would vote for on a certain condition.
You gave me an image of Biden in a fairy tale world that he would be this good man that would be great for our country. Would I vote for him then? Yes, I would.
Yeah. So you made a statement on who you would vote for on a certain condition.
Yes, but that has nothing to do with the actual circumstances that we're presented with right now.
But I was making a point and you didn't let me finish the point. So maybe let me finish the point I'm making so you can understand why it is relevant.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I said to you, also, even hypothetically, in a hypothetical, that being a racist is not a disqualifying factor. You also would, in certain conditions, vote for a racist. You just don't believe that those conditions have been met. I do. I do believe it is almost indisputable fact that Biden will be better for the American people than Trump will. And therefore, I will vote for him, despite him being a clear, obvious racist and senile old man. You do not believe that this fact has been fulfilled. You do not believe that these conditions have been. And so we can have that discussion. But you attempting to pin it on me, you would vote for a racist, when you yourself also would vote for a racist if you believe the facts that I believe. It is incredibly,
When did I say that I would
disingenuous
vote
and
for a racist?
dumb. So, well, you said you would vote for Biden if it was proven that he would be bad for the American people.
Yeah, if the things that he has done in the past wouldn't exist, I said I would vote for Biden. That was the hypothetical that you gave me.
Oh, that wasn't part of the hypothetical.
That was
No,
how I
wasn't.
took your hypothetical. You said if Biden was this clean,
I don't know how you
innocent,
took it
great
that way,
man,
'cause those weren't the words that were said.
Okay, well, that's how I
nope,
interpreted
that's not what I said.
Okay, well, that's the
I
way
don't know how in the
I'm
world
telling
you
you how I
interpreted it
interpreted your
that way.
question.
Oh, okay, then
The way
understand
that I
things
interpreted
correctly.
your question.
Or if you don't understand them or they don't match the actual words that are being said, then ask for clarification. Because that's absolutely and in absolute no way what was said.
Okay, well, then
So ask you again
restate
the
your
actual
question,
thing that I
and
actually
will
asked you,
answer it in-
Jalen, if in the okay, Jalen, if I could prove to you right now that with the actions and policies that Biden versus Trump will do, that Biden as an American president will be better off for the American people in the next 4 years than Trump will, would you vote for him?
Hang on. Can I this Moon VO5
That's
in
the
your comment
requisite fact.
section? This Moon VO5 in your comment section, he's asking me to explain how Biden is a racist. Can I do
Ignore
that
the
for him real quick?
commenters. No, ignore
I'll
the
do that
comments.
at the
Answer
end.
my question.
Your question was, in them circumstances, I think it's for one. I will answer it, but let me explain my answer. I think it's a failure of the country to provide two candidates that are like this, and for two, if it was the absolute last possible option, honest to God, I don't know what my situation. I don't know what my stance would be. I don't know if it came down to that last option, if I would vote or not. That would be a weeks long decision leading up to the voter day, what I would do in that circumstance.
Okay, and that I can respect. Do you see how it would be a hard decision to make?
Yes, I understand the way. Do
Yeah.
you understand the way that I interpreted your question the first time? Whenever you asked
and
me
do you
that
see
question
how
the first
fucking disingenuous it is to try and pin it on me to suggest that it's a clear, obvious decision?
time, but that's what you guys do on your
Because you've been
lives. I've
clowning
watched
me
so
for saying I would vote for a racist
I've
this
wa-
whole time and suggesting that it's
No, but
absurd
I've
to
watched-
do when you would even consider it.
No, I wouldn't. I don't. I told you that I don't know what I would do. I don't think I would consider voting for a racist. No.
What would you mean? Wait, what do you mean it would be? You just said you just moved back from the original claim, which is saying, yeah, I would vote for a racist, to yeah, I would consider it.
My
It would be
stance
really
would be
difficult.
whether or
don't
not
know what
I would vote
consider.
for the non-racist over the racist, because the racist would have the best intention for our country. The only options I would have would
There
be
is no
voting for.
There's no non-racist candidate here.
You didn't say that. Me personally, I don't.
I mean,
if
Trump's
you
a racist, unequivocally.
If you can show me statements that Trump has said live on camera, not just hearsay, if you can show me these,
ban.
if you can show me these statements of him talking in public
It's not
being
hearsay.
racist,
The U.S. court found it.
Can you go into detail about this Muslim ban and what all it
He passed. You don't know the Muslim ban?
Can you go into detail and explain it for your chat of what all it entailed of?
For the chat,
and what the circumstances
do you
was.
not know what it is?
No, under what?
Do you not know what
circumstances? I'm asking you to explain it.
Do you not know?
And the way
what it is?
Yeah, but obviously we interpret things differently. We've established this. So explain to me the way that you said this Muslim ban.
Federal Court,
was it a ban on Muslims?
In the way
or
that
was
the
it a
US
ban
Federal Court found that it violated racial. What is your understanding of this policy?
I haven't done any research
What's
on it.
your
I
understanding
understood
of his
that it was a precautionary measure to temporarily keep the radical Muslims out of the country, and not at that point in time we couldn't differentiate between the radical and the non-radical, and that's the way I understood it. If that made it racist, then I guess it was racist.
Yes, it was racist. My source
Because
is
you
that the
do
federal
agree,
report found it to be racist. He's actually
but you do agree there are radical Muslims.
no, I don't agree with your characterization of it.
There's very good Muslims, and
Because
I
he actually
respect the Muslim community.
didn't write in law that it was for Muslims. He just banned everyone from Muslim majority countries, certain Muslim majority countries.
To try to keep terrorists out.
Which religion in the U.S. commits the most terrorist and extremist acts of violence?
Which religion? I'm probably going to guess Christianity because they're the majority.
Per capita.
Per capita? I'm not familiar with these statistics. Do we want to start talking statistics though on per capita?
Christians.
And did I not guess that?
Mm-hmm. We can talk about religious extremism.
I'm guessing you're not religious.
Extremism, by comparison to how many people there are in that religion, it's extraordinarily clear that Christians commit the most per capita. So why would we limit immigration from Muslim countries when Christians pose a greater threat to violence in America?
What acts of did you call them acts of terrorism, or how did you refer to them?
Extremist acts of violence.
Do we want to can we compare per capita acts of terrorism?
So if the goal was to protect people, why are we not cracking down on Christian immigration?
Do you understand what terrorism means?
You talked about extremist Muslims. No, you were talking about extremist Muslims.
Terrorists.
Assuming you think that those things are synonymous, extremist Muslims and radical terrorists.
No.
What's the difference between a terrorist and a extremist Christian who commits violence?
The extremists, there would be nothing in the Bible for Christianity that would encourage them to do violence against anybody. So for you to hold them two in the same category.
There isn't? I'm sorry, I'm confused. Didn't God command the Hebrews genocide the Amalekites? The Amalekites?
Do you really want to start having
Didn't
a Bible
God explicitly
discussion?
say to stone those who have adulterated?
Can you give me the exact book and the exact verse of these claims, and I'll read the context on it, and it'll take me about 3 seconds to debunk this. Yes, he did, probably, but this is all completely out of context. God nowhere in the Bible encourages any one of us to do any damage to anyone. And that is, you can't find me one verse in the Bible where it says, go out and have acts of extremists towards anybody. That doesn't exist. You're taking this all completely out of context to prove your piss poor fucking agenda that you have. And it is utterly, it's just disgusting. If it's in Leviticus,
if a man commits adultery with another man's wife, even with you asked me.
You realize this is Old Testament?
Even if a man commits adultery, stop speaking. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, even if with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress must be put to death. Leviticus 20:10-12.
And do you realize the whole point of Jesus coming to die for our sins is the Old Testament we have stories from the Old Testament, but we don't go by the Old Testament law. We go by the New Testament. That starts in.
Do you follow the Ten Commandments, sir?
Bible. The Ten Commandments are mentioned all the way throughout the Bible.
My love?
Do you think there's anything wrong with the Ten Commandments?
So are many. And so, sorry. Actually, the verse that brings them into the New Testament also could be interpreted to bring the Levitican laws into the New Testament. You realize that, right?
You realize you're showing your knowledge for the Bible by referring to the Old Testament.
Actually, Jalen, point me to the place in the New Testament where all of the Ten Commandments are reiterated verbatim.
The New Testament is the new law, and we follow that. Christians do, okay?
Yes,
There
but
is
he actually
nowhere
said to keep by. He
there is
actually said to keep
nowhere
by many of the old Hebrew laws.
there is nowhere if we follow the 10 commandments the way that he has them laid out for us, there is nowhere in the New Testament, Old Testament, anywhere. These are all mostly stories. There's nowhere there where
Why
it
would you follow the
suggests
Ten
violence
Commandments
towards
as a Christian?
anyone.
Why would you follow the Ten
You don't
Commandments
even
as a
have to
Christian?
be you don't even have to be a Christian to hold to the 10 commandments. These are just naturally moral
But
laws
why
that
is it a
everyone
part
should
of
follow.
Christian? Why is it a part of Christian doctrine? Why is it a part of Christian doctrine?
What, the 10 commandments?
Mhm.
To create a better environment for everybody. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what God and Abraham was discussing
No,
when
but
they was on the
where is
mountain.
it
I
brought
mean,
up in the New Testament? Where is it brought up in the New Testament? Where is it brought up in the New Testament?
I couldn't give you the exact verse of where they're brought up, but I can promise you you can't find me
You're not a
one
very
verse
good
in the
Christian,
New
are you?
Testament. Who said I was Christian? For one, for two, I am.
Christians,
But
Christ said to hold by the old laws. You realize that, right?
Christ also said, "Love thy neighbor," and to not do any harm to
It's
thy
a
neighbor.
modern
And that's all
reinterpretation
I
of the
need to know.
doctrine to suggest that he freed them from the covenant of the old purity laws.
Oh, so you wrote, so you've read the entire Bible in Hebrew?
Not in Hebrew.
Have you read the entire Bible in its original text? If not,
You
you
realize
can't speak on
Christians
any of it.
historically have used it to justify. Sorry. Have you read the Quran, Jalen?
I'm not familiar with the Quran. I am familiar with Allah and what the claims that have been made about him, but I'm not familiar with the
So what
Quran. No.
specific part of the Quran are you talking about? What specific part of the Quran are you talking about?
I just said I'm not
Give
familiar
me the
with the
soda.
Quran. Huh?
But you're saying you seem to have rhetorically suggested that Muslims had a part in their religion that would call for violence.
Okay. Do you know? I don't know what I'm allowed to say on here and what I'm not to get your live restricted. But are you saying that there's not radical Muslims inside their faith?
There are thousands of radicals of basically every religion. That's unequivocally true.
Yes. There's nowhere in the Bible,
including Islam.
and I can speak on this. Yeah, I can speak on this. I'm not speaking.
My love, the
for
Old
Islam.
Testament is part of the Bible. I just cited to you a part.
Yes, but you're completely taking it out of
So
context.
the Old Testament is part of the
guy.
Bible. What was the context of
Yes,
Leviticus?
that is the Old. That's Old Testament. It also says to cut your tongue off if you say a lie, but that we don't follow those standards. They're in the Old Testament.
Yes, Christ called. Sorry, I'm so sorry, but Christ called for the continuation of the old rules. This is a modern interpretation of Christ's
but Will, you're
literally. It's actually not. It's only been around for the past about 600 years. You're just wrong.
Have you studied the Bible at all?
But that does not mean that your doctrine is biblical. I mean, I've done some studying of the Bible. It seems more than yours.
Are you religious?
No. I mean, I'm a Unitarian Universalist, so I'm partially religious, but I'm an agnostic atheist.
So you're an agnostic. So you don't hold any belief towards a God. Like you believe there could be one, but you don't belong yourself to a church.
I don't believe. I find no evidence for God, and therefore I don't believe in one. I go to a church. I go to an agnostic church. I go to Unitarian Universalism sometimes.
So what do you guys talk about there?
I don't know, gay, sex, and rainbows. We talk about a lot of things, but I do know quite a bit about the guys. Okay, I just find this so funny. I've got my first wills paid by the DNC comment. Everyone celebrate. Woo! I'm not paid by the DNC. If they want to, my PayPal's open. No, I mean we study.
I do understand.
Actually, a lot of my
I'll give you.
A lot of my religious education courses were done about other religions. I mean, I learned about the Baha'i faith, I learned about Hinduism, learned about Islam, learned about Christianity, learned about Judaism, paganism, lots and lots of things.
Yeah, I will give you my stance on religion since we brought it up. I do find there's a lot. I will admit I do find.
Well, you made a batshit fucking crazy stance, which is that the Bible never supported violence. But
The Bible doesn't in the New Testament support violence, and you have yet to give me any verse that does.
Oh, just the New Testament.
I told you the Bible does not suggest violence to. You can find me stories that have violence inside of them, but nowhere in the Bible does God say, or Jesus, or anybody, that you should harm your neighbor in the New Testament. Are you looking these up? Because I'd love to find them. If anywhere in the New Testament you
Yeah.
can find me where God says we're supposed to do harm to somebody who does us wrong,
Why are you
or
limiting it
just
to
for
the
any.
New Testament? Was it not? Sorry, but first off, I don't want to fall for your
Because when
premise.
Jesus came back and
We
died
can
for our
talk about
sins on
this
the
limited
cross,
discussion. Mhm.
is it my turn?
And what? And
When
what?
Jesus
And what about it?
when Jesus came back and died on the cross for our sins, are you familiar with John 3:16? That for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, so whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life.
Mm-hmm.
When Jesus came back and died on the cross, he died for the sinners, and then that's what saved humanity. See, we don't have to go by these Old Testament things anymore. There's stories in there for us, yes.
Okay. What's the point of those stories?
There's prophecies and all sorts of things. There's 8,000 prophecies fulfilled in the Old Testament before
What's the point of
these are
what
all
was the point of God? What was the point of God handing down Leviticus?
these you realize the books in the Bible are all combination of stories between people across the Middle East, like over hundreds of years, that all combine with each other, and these are just and then somehow they all aligned, and they're still around thousands of years later, and all of these, and you can't prove it wrong. Like as hard as you'd love to try, I mean, and as many contradictions as what you might say is in there, there's none. It's the only truth that there is. And you can sit up here and say that it's
I
not,
mean,
but you realize
there
that
are contradictions.
yeah, but you try to explain that to over 1 billion people in the world that are going to say that you're wrong.
I mean, half of America believes in angels. There's not talking to a shit ton of people. Most people don't care.
Yeah, but you believe that something came from nothing, which
So
is
in
more
Luke
insane.
12:45, but suppose a servant says to himself, "My master is taking a long time in coming," and he begins to beat the other servants, both men and women, and to eat and drink and get drunk. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him into
You're
pieces and
taking this
assign
out
him
of
a place
context.
with the unbelievers. The servant who knows the master's will and does not get ready or does not do what the master wants will be beaten with many blows.
You're taking this
That seems
completely
to
out of
affirm
context.
violence.
Read the entire chapter.
What's the context?
If you want to
that's
read the
safe?
entire, if you want to read the
I
entire
mean, I have
chapter
read
on
Luke.
live,
I have read Luke. I'm not going to read the entire. I'm not going to read the entire chapter to you, but I'm intrigued what you think the context that saves this is.
trust me, if you don't want to read the whole chapter on
So
your
I've made my
live,
argument.
then
Make
don't.
yours. I don't trust you.
My
I've read the
argument.
chapter. I've read the chapter. This is a parable that Jesus said. Right. It begins
Parable.
with "Be dressed, ready for service, and get your lamps burning." So it is. Sorry, but it is instructions. It's saying,
Wait.
"Be watchful, be dressed, ready for service, and keep your lamps burned." And then it ends with punishment.
These are Jesus's words.
Yeah, this is within Luke.
If you don't read the whole chapter on live, we're not going to speak on this, okay?
I'm not going to read you the whole chapter on live. You tell me what part of the context.
Yes, because you're not going to read the whole chapter on live because it would debunk your claims that you're making.
Well, no, I'm just not going to waste 10 minutes of all of our lives.
Okay. Well, you didn't acknowledge my claim that I made to you.
Saves it.
How do you make something from nothing?
Oh, okay. What claim did you make?
The claim that you believe.
I never claimed we make something from nothing.
So you believe that the universe is eternal, which is also a lie because energy is constantly expanding, and it's constantly expanding. And the energy is not eternal. Without energy, there's nothing. So explain to me how the universe came about of something from nothing.
I never claimed either of those two things.
So you believe
It's
in
also
creation?
irrelevant to the point. I'm talking about violence being condoned in your mythos. I haven't pushed
I'm
any
not. There's
mythos.
nowhere in the
You
Bible.
seem to suggest that
Listen,
the
Will.
Muslim mythos. You seem
This
to
irritates
suggest
me.
that the Muslim mythos of Islam was more violent, and we need to be more afraid of Muslim extremists than Christian extremists. When historically and statistically, in America, there was more
Never said
Christian
that.
extremist attacks and more deaths by Christian extremists overall. So,
When did
okay.
I
Do you
say
think
that?
that? Okay. Do you think that restricting immigration to Christian nations, because Christians are historically more dangerous than Muslims in the U.S., is justified?
When did I say that Muslims was more dangerous than Christians? You asked me what religion commits the
You seem
most
to imply it
crimes
by
per
you seem
capita,
to imply it by
and
suggesting that
I
Christians
told
in their
you.
mythos. You seem to imply it by suggesting. You asked a question. I'm going to answer it. You seem to imply it by suggesting that, quote, when you said Christians can't find anything in their mythos to justify violence, seems to suggest that Muslims can.
Seem to be, yeah. So to me that would be very diabolical on your end, because you're assuming that I'm referencing to Muslims when I'm referencing violence, which I never did. So that would be a problem on your end.
Well, we were talking about Muslims, so I was assuming you were talking about the thing that we were
Yes.
talking about.
No. All I said is I'm not familiar, and I never will be, with anything in the Bible that suggests I do violence
But
towards
within the
anybody. And you
context, we were
took
talking
that.
about Muslims.
Yeah, but you took that and assumed that I was referring to Muslims having violence in their context of their core of their whatever.
Because
And
we were
that is
talking
not at
about
all what I
Muslims.
meant. That sounds like an
Because you were
assumption
talking
that
about
you
Muslim
made that you need to
extremists.
step back on. No.
I know you're trying to make
Yeah,
this
but
point. Within the context, we were talking about Muslims, so I assume you were talking about Muslims.
yeah, you assumed, but I never once. You asked me to explain the Muslim ban that you said was racist
Because we were
that
talking
Trump
about
had.
Muslim extremists.
You said it was racist for Trump to ban
So I
Muslims.
assume because that's what
and
we were talking about.
I never once mentioned Muslim extremists until you brought up the bill that Trump said. And I gave my best interpretation of the bill that he passed. And
Yes,
then you
because we were
assumed
talking
that
about
I was
Muslim
referring.
extremists, and then you made a point about Christians, and I assumed that it was in reference to the conversation we were having.
No, you assumed that I was referencing Muslims whenever I was saying that I don't believe that Christianity has got any violence in their context of their Bible. And then you made the assumption that I was
I
referring
assume you were
that to
referencing
Muslims
that because
do
we were
have
talking
violence.
about Muslims.
So why would have you assumed
Yeah,
that
I
was
made that assumption
referencing
because
the
we were
Muslims?
talking about Muslims.
Yeah, so it sounds like
Because we were
you
talking about
assumed that
Muslims.
Muslims are violent.
No, I assume that you were suggesting
Yes,
it because that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, but if we're talking about my Rottweiler dog, and I say I don't think that my Chihuahua has any violent characteristics, but you say, "Oh, are you asserting that your Rottweiler does?" That would be assuming you would say that this Rottweiler would be dangerous
That would be
without
reasonable,
actually.
yeah.
So
No,
you're
that would
saying
be
it
a
was
fair
reasonable for you to
assumption
say this. So
in
you're
that
saying
context.
that assumption, that same way applies to the Muslims that you assumed.
Well, linguistically, if I talk about A, and then you say, well, that doesn't apply to B, then I can assume you're comparing it to A. Yeah.
I never once brought up radical Muslims
You did.
until you brought up the fact that Trump's ban on Muslims, and I said the way that I interpreted that bill was that he was
Yeah, so you did
banning.
bring
He
up
was
radical
trying.
Muslims.
Did you not hear what I said? I said I never said nothing about him until you brought up the bill, and
Yeah,
I said
so
that
you
I
did bring
do.
up radical Muslims.
I said my interpretation of the bill that he passed was he was trying to keep the terrorist out of the country, and there was no way for him at that point to
Because they
differentiate
couldn't distinguish
which one was
between
terrorist.
radical Muslims and non-radical Muslims.
I'm not
So
saying
you did bring up radical
the
Muslims.
bill. Yes, radical Muslims. There's radical in every group of people.
Okay, so you brought up
They
radical
exist.
Muslims.
What's your point?
Yes, you
Yeah,
brought up
radical
radical
Muslims, radical Christians, they all exist.
What's my point is that you're a fucking liar. You said you didn't
How
bring up
am I a
radical Muslims,
liar?
and then now you're saying you did.
I said I didn't until you you was acting
You
like
said
we
you
was
didn't bring
talking
up
about
radical
this
Muslims.
prior. You acted like we was talking about this prior to you bringing up the bill on Muslims, and I said no, he wasn't. I didn't bring up the radical Muslims until you
No, I
brought up the
don't.
bill.
I didn't suggest that. I didn't suggest
And
that.
then you assumed, I just had a problem with you assuming that I was referencing to Muslims and violence whenever I said that I don't believe that Christians have violence inside of their context of their Bible. And that's the problem that
Yeah,
I
I
had with
assumed
was
because we
you
were, I
was you
assumed that because we
assuming
were
that I
talking
was
about the
referencing.
Muslims.
Okay, but I was not referencing that Muslims did have violence. I was referencing that yes, there's obviously there's
Okay,
radicals in every. I even when I
then
answered your
just fucking say
question,
that.
you asked me
Then just say that.
you asked me which religion per capita commits the most crime, and I answered Christianity. So how would I be any way suggesting that Muslims would be more violent than Christians? I can't hear you. You're muted. Still can't hear you.
Okay, well, thanks. I'm sorry, I have to dip in a second, but you can now.
Uh,
Great. Then then you said something that had a connotation that you didn't intend. That's fine.
no, you're scared. You're running. You're getting ready to kick me off the live because you're running.
No, because I have shit that I have a life that I have to live.
Okay,
But
so do I. It's
yeah. So let's calm the
we're
fuck
gonna.
down and not suggest that people are running from you whenever they directly answer all your questions for about an hour. So not running. If I wanted to run, I would have run about 30 minutes ago. I have no intention. Like I just
I will
have a
be
life
honest.
that I have shit I have to do. But
I'll be honest.
so
I thoroughly
in what
enjoyed this
context
conversation.
saves this, suggesting that it was acceptable for a master to beat a servant and hit them?
The same one
What
that
context saves that? Are you a Christian, by the way, Jalen?
I believe that Jesus died for our sins. Yes,
Okay, but do
I
you
wouldn't
believe that
belong
the Bible is
myself with.
generally
I
the
wouldn't.
Word of God?
I wouldn't belong myself with the mass majority of the way that Christians, the mass majority of people who claim to be Christians, most likely aren't. They're not practicing religious people. They just
I don't care.
say that.
Do you believe that the Bible? I don't care, Jalen. Do you believe that the Bible is generally the Word of God?
I believe the Bible is the 100% truth, and you're never going to convince me otherwise. And I will go to my grave believing that. And there's nothing that you're going to
Okay,
say that's
great.
going to
So
change
how
my
does this
mind.
portion of the Bible not justify a servant? How does this portion of the Bible not justify a master hitting their servant? The servant who knows the master's will does not get ready. Oh, nor
I
wants
believe that
to
God is
do
all
what the
good and
master
all
wants,
knowing
will be
and all
beaten with many
powerful.
blows.
And one day,
So
everyone will get on
does
their
this
knees and
justify
bow.
a master
And
blowing their servant?
listen, I'll use this point in time to spread the gospel with you. One of these days, you will go before Jesus, and there ain't nothing you're going to say that's going to change.
Guys, I have one rule in my lives. I think we all know that rule. It's pretty simple. No preaching. No preaching. I have one rule. I have a few rules, but no preaching. Naughty, naughty, naughty. All right. Bye-bye. I've got to run. Go follow me on Instagram. Let's see. What should I wear? Follow my Instagram. Links in bio. All right. Peace out. Love you all. Go follow my Instagram, please, 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 please.